On the Aidens, the Kennedy, the Eisenhower, the Stevenson, the Rhine as well. There is some outbound road work on the Rhine. In fact, the outbound Rhine has exit ramp closures at 47th and at 63rd this morning. Traffic is a service of Bank of America. Want cash back at Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's today? Use your Bank of America Card Cash Rewards Visa credit card. Earn 2% cash back at wholesale clubs. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/getcashback. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Aircomfort.com providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist this morning, Ashley Benoit.
Partly sunny skies today, breezy and less humid this afternoon with a high of 85. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight, low 65. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a shower in spots, not as warm, high 76. Sunny on Saturday, high 80. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 68 at O'Hare. It is 69 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering. Companies that are serious about a successful event choose Tasty Catering. Planning begins at tastycatering.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit. He can explain away anything.
Imagine if he had not just Twitter and cable news to go after his critics and opponents, but also the IRS, or for that matter, our entire military.
It's a binary choice. It is either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You don't get a third option. It's one or the other, and I know where I want to go.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the Cackler was in Springfield, Illinois yesterday, our state capital.
Reliving Lincoln's tracks, right? The track that he took to become a successful president.
Yeah.
Speaking in the same places.
Those two names should never be used in the same sentence. But and we'll get to her choice remarks for Donald Trump momentarily. But first, the big announcement is that the big announcement will be tomorrow at 10 a.m., Trump's vice presidential selection.
Yeah, he's going to make the announcement in Manhattan, of all places.
So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Newt or Pence? That seems to be pretty clear in terms of the two choices that it's come down to. Your calls 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-368, turnkey.pro text line. Do you like Trump or Pence, or why? Or are you still holding out for Ivanka?
Ivanka, I'm still holding out for John Kasich. I mean, we had Stephen Moore on the program yesterday, and he had mentioned that, Governor Kasich. That would make me excited about a Trump ticket or a Trump presidency if he had John Kasich, who has congressional experience, legislative experience, and he's a governor of a state. And also, since they're in...
So's Mike Pence.
Right, but John Kasich's known a little bit more than Mike Pence, because a lot of people yesterday in my circles were saying, Mike, who? Who? Yeah, Governor who?
Yeah, a lot of people in your circles in Lakeview don't know who the governor to the state directly to our east is. That says more about them than it does Mike Pence.
Yeah. They knew who Governor Walker was. Like, well, who's the governor of Wisconsin? Who's the governor of Iowa?
Right. Yeah, they know people who run for president. Congratulations. Yes. You're really plugged in. Well, you'll get to know Mike Pence if he's the selection. And I agree. I think Kasich provides the most political value, but it
he'd win Ohio.
Well, I mean, although Trump is doing pretty well without Kasich in Ohio at this point. I mean, it's a dead heat.
Kasich would put him over the top, I think.
Perhaps. I suspect that's true, but it's down to Newt and Pence. So this is very much like I wish I could choose someone but other than Trump or Hillary. Well, it's down to Trump or Hillary. Now it's down to Newt and Pence for Trump. And so who's it going to be and why? And it's been interesting to hear the people who are making the case for Newt, including Charles Krauthammer on Special Report yesterday.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. He's not going to help. He's not going to hurt. It'll be a Trump campaign, and nobody will remember the name of Pence 2 weeks into the campaign. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit, not so much because he doubles down, but because he is the most, if you like, either articulate or glib. You can have it either way. But he has such facility with language. He can explain away anything. He can explain anything, and he can explain away anything. After all, last time around, he ran on a campaign that included a moon base, which was an interesting idea, but not easy to sell. So you can anticipate that Trump will run into problems here and there, as he obviously has over the last year. And the guy you'd want to be the first to explain it away would be Newt, because I think he'd be very successful at it.
Is Newt a little too smug? Is Newt a little too type A personality, exactly like Donald Trump?
Well, there are similarities, although the base of knowledge is completely different. The Newt thing, Josh Crusher writes in the National Journal on Newt, and he suggests Gingrich is right for Trump as well, for some of the same reasons that Krauthammer mentioned. But he also said if Newt rambles on about futurism and things like a moon base, instead of staying on message, he would risk being dismissed as a flake. So, I mean, Gingrich has flourishes of brilliance. There's no doubt he's an incubator of ideas.
Yeah, but he's not likable. And a lot of people see Donald Trump as not likable, and then pile on that on the ticket. No.
Well, I mean, right. So there's a likability factor. There's I guess, a bit of a generational factor. They're both about 70 years old.
Yeah, they're both pirates. I don't know if you heard Newt Gingrich with Sean Hannity last night when he brought up pirates.
In many ways, Donald Trump is like a pirate. He's outside the normal system. He gets things done. He's bold. He's actually like a figure out of a movie. In a lot of ways, my entire career has been a little bit like a pirate. I've taken on the establishment of both parties. I've been very prepared to fight in the media. One of the really hard questions he's got to weigh on the way to California is, do you really want a two-pirate ticket?
Arg. Shiver me timbers, arg.
And
Can I just make pirate references all day?
And they've
Walk the plank,
both gathered a lot of booty.
But only one could wear the patch, arg. I'm sorry.
The pirate reference, a couple of swashbucklers.
Yeah, isn't that great?
I don't know if they're more like Jack Sparrow or more like the Pirates of Penzance. I'm not sure.
Newt says he's going to be waiting by the phone today when he was referencing California because Trump Air finally got up and running. They had a flat tire in Indianapolis yesterday morning. That's why he spent more time with Governor Pence and his family. Then he brought in Ivanka and Donald Jr. They flew in from New York to meet Pence.
Well,
so now he's on his way to California for fundraising.
There's some reporting that there's a bit of a schism in the Trump camp between the two, where the family has warmed to Newt. Mm-hmm. But the advisors want him to go with a bit of a safer choice in Pence, and so it's kind of interesting. Newt brings talent to the table. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's extremely facile on his feet, as Krauthammer was so indicating. So he would perform well in the debates, as he did in the debate, the GOP presidential debates in 2012. I mean, it was really on the force of his debate performances that he was relevant in that campaign at all. So he's got that going for him. Pence, on the other hand, there's to some extent I sympathize with the Krauthammer position. He doesn't do you any harm. He doesn't maybe necessarily do you any good, but maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it for Trump, is you just need someone that's a bit of an anchor, kind of to stabilize, and then let Trump be Trump. And you don't have to, vie for attention, as it were.
Yeah, but his vice presidential choice, I think, is critical because it will help rally people around a man that a lot of us don't like and don't embrace. But if he picks the right person, I'm telling you, that's why. Is there still? Can you let me down easy? Is there still any hope for John Kasich?
No,
it's over.
Well, it's not going. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 24 hours. So.
Oh, that's right, because Kasich isn't even going to the convention.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's going to the convention.
No, last I heard he wasn't.
Indicated previously he isn't. He's been kind of quiet of late. Chris Christie is out. There's no more talk about Chris Christie. It's down to these two.
And Mike Pence thinks his meeting with Donald Trump and then his breakfast the next day went really well.
It was just very warm and just one family meeting with another. We were really honored to have not only Mr. Trump, but a number of his children, son-in-law join us at the governor's residence. It's great to have them in Indiana. Great to have a chance to break bread. Nothing was offered, nothing was accepted, but we had a great conversation about the country, challenges facing America, and my firm belief that Donald Trump is going to provide the kind of leadership that America needs.
Well, there's a couple things in addition to Pence that are interesting, or on Pence, in addition to kind of just talking about what he brings to the ticket. One is he's under a Friday deadline to make a decision whether he is going to continue running for re-election as Indiana governor. So it makes that Friday announcement, the timing of the Friday announcement, very interesting because Pence is under deadline pressure.
Yeah, because state law, you can't run for two offices at the same time.
So I wonder if that's being coordinated to. So that's one thing, just in terms of Pence and some logistical issues. The second thing is renewed talk. If Pence is the choice, so who fills his spot to run for governor of Indiana?
Who? Oh, Mitch Daniels?
Mitch Daniels.
Bring him back, going back to the stables?
Indiana has term limits, but it's consecutive terms. So you can sit out and come back, and there is movement afoot in Indiana to woo Mitch away from Purdue and back into the race. It would be interesting. I think he'd win the race. And it would potentially put him back on a track for the presidency, which ultimately he really wants. And he was very frustrated he couldn't make it make sense in 2012. So there's some interesting local political dynamics, too.
Wasn't there something involving his wife when it came to Mitch Daniels? The reason why he didn't run for president?
Well, it was family. There was...
She was married before something, or she left? I don't know.
She left him and then came back. But the bottom line is it wasn't so much Mitch Daniels, my understanding at least, it wasn't so much Mitch Daniels' concern about the press reviewing that area of his life, because frankly, Mitch Daniels comes out looking very good. She left him, he took her back.
Yeah.
It was his daughters saying, "I don't want to see mom put through that."
Oh.
Which speaks
Yep.
to Daniel's character.
312-642-5600 is the number. Who do you want to see as Trump's running mate?
Holly and Hudson, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I was watching on Hannity last night. I was watching Newt, and I just found it impossible to believe that probably 16 months ago, this guy was sort of a bloviated, washed-up has-been. And now he could possibly be on the ticket. It just seems incredible to me, the change that happened over the last year in the GOP. Because I bet odds on Newt being on the ticket 14 months ago, you could have made a lot of money.
Yeah, well, you're right. You could have made a lot of money betting Trump was going to be the nominee, too. Do you like the idea of Newt, or do you not like the idea?
I'm completely on the fence. I don't agree with Amy. Mike Pence, and I agree with Charles Krauthammer, barely moves the needle. But then watching Trump's son last night also on Hannity, you could just get a sense of what a tortured decision it is. But his son left it by saying, "But with my dad, I know he'll make the best decision." All I know is that when I was told that John McCain was giving lots of thought about his vice presidential candidate, and he came up with Sarah Palin, it was such a letdown. So I don't know. Either way, I think Trump's going to win. I agree with you, Dan. It's not going to be pretty, but I believe the country is just ready for a change.
Thanks, Holly.
Yeah.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, hear from Donald Trump himself. Maybe his words that he says, you can decipher who he's going to choose. But today, here's your forecast. Partly sunny skies, breezy, a lot less humid than we're used to. 70 degrees right now. That's nice. At O'Hare, going up to a high today of 85. Let's get those travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. South side of Chicago, there's an active police investigation at 67th and State after an earlier shooting in Park Manor neighborhood. Later this morning, just outside Wrigley Field, Waveland will be blocked off east of Clark. In Clifton and Kenmore, there'll be a simulation drill involving a simulated active shooter situation with simulated shots, helicopters, and a whole lot of noise, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right now, the expressways and tollways look pretty good. Still some road work on the outbound Ryan, Pershing to 59th and the 2 right lanes. There's some ramp closures in that area between 35th and 63rd. There's also moving work in both directions on Lakeshore Drive between the Stevenson and 57th. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
That would be me. Hey, if you're a regular listener to Chicago's Morning Answer, you've heard about Turnkey IT, Chicagoland's leading IT service provider for small businesses. Turnkey provides world-class support and customizable plans for businesses that have 5 to 100 users. With some programs, you get all new equipment. Get that, free security and antivirus protection. Sound great? Then why haven't you called Turnkey IT? Well, here's Turnkey IT's best offer yet. Through the summer, all AM 560 listeners receive their first month of service for just $1. Your business receives comprehensive coverage, including unlimited help desk and on-site support, network hosting, antivirus protection. It's first contracted month, again, for just $1. Nothing to lose, really. So if you're ready to make the switch, it's easy. Visit turnkey.pro now. That's turnkey.pro, and tell them AM 560 The Answer sent you, and you could focus on the important things and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I'm the chair for the company picnic committee, and I'm overwhelmed with finding the perfect catering partner.
Don't be freaked out by that. Tasty Catering has done our company picnic every year for the last 5 years. I actually went to Tasty Catering's kitchen first to taste the food. They served juicy burgers right from the grill, fresh salads, awesome sides, and fun foods for the kids. Last year, we even had delicious brisket and an entire pig roast.
Can they handle all the details? There's not much time to plan.
Planning was even easier. Tasty Catering handled every detail, from serving pieces to inflatables for the kids, the DJ, and of course, the bar area.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
Just go to tastycatering.com. The pricing was right, and our CFO signed off on the contract immediately.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus and locations, entertainment options, and more. That's tastycatering.com.
As a business owner or HR director, you've seen medical plans disappear. You've seen deductible and co-payment and total out-of-pocket expenses skyrocket, and the new prescription plans are a joke. You've been forced to accept the Obamacare-compliant plans, while at the same time, labor organizations and other friends of the establishment have been given special exemptions. Thankfully, the market for group health insurance has caught up, and some companies we work with can now offer these same ACA-exempt policies for your employees. My name is Greg Eck, president of Beneficial Solutions. Our team has been reacting to ever-changing insurance markets for the past 25 years. Beneficial Solutions will arm your company with the latest tools to protect your business from potential ACA penalties and make the most of your employee benefit dollars. Call us now so we can game plan before open enrollment season arrives at 630-717-8282. That's 630-717-8282. Or find us online at beneficialsolutions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two pirates, Trump and Gingrich.
I mean, Newt Gingrich. Oh, yeah, that's what he did last night on Sean Hannity. Compared them as to pirates. They're pirates. They're walking the plank. Arg. What are there? Shiver me timbers.
Grab
me my sword.
Hard time getting that image out of my head.
Me too. That's why I had to bring it to you. What other piratisms are there? Walk the plank. Arg. Grab me my sword. Arg. Shiver me timbers.
All right, I'm going to leave you over there by yourself.
Arg.
And go to Kevin on the north side. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I think Newt can keep his eye patch on as chief of staff. What would you think of Rick Santorum? He has the experience. He definitely has character.
Has the
a little
sweater.
Youth wouldn't hurt.
Has the sweater vest.
Stop it. He took it off in the summer months.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's past post, Kevin. It's down to Newt and Pence. I mean, that's just what.
But don't
that's
you
what
think
it
there
is.
might be a surprise?
Trump is big on a surprise.
Yeah.
Yes, that suspense.
Thanks for the call, Kevin.
Seriously, suspense sells, and he knows that more than anybody. This is a reality TV show right now.
Yeah, he's going to flip the script and have
Omarosa.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe Bill Rancic's going to come back.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
What about that alien he's married to?
Oh, what do you mean the alien?
The Juliana, whatever her name is.
Oh.
Doesn't she look like a
Juliana Rancic?
She looks like she.
Well,
looks
she just
like
needs
a
to.
space creature.
She just needs to eat a steak or something. Listen to me. I'm so catty. She doesn't look like an alien. Her eyes are just really far apart.
We'll
be right back.
Ken in Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Yeah, I think Newt would probably be the best choice. I mean, I live in Indiana, obviously, and all you see is Mike Pence best to go signs up down the street. I don't think that he'd get people very excited. And even if he does make it, I mean, if Trump didn't like him, I guess he could give him a job like cure cancer or something along those lines.
You sure? Cure can't. Well, Joe Biden's going to have that wrapped up by the time Trump ascends to the Oval
yeah,
Office.
that's true. I guess, yeah. Maybe a different kind of cancer you can cure then.
Well, let me ask you this, since you're a Hoosier, or as Amy would say, an Indianan. Is the idea of Mitch Daniels coming back to replace Pence attractive to you?
I wouldn't be against it. I don't know who else would be a better person for it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ken. Scott on the west side.
Hey, Dan. Nice to have you back. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Amy. I'm surprised that the Republican Party is dusting off Newt. And just in terms of visual effect, I think that Pence would be a better choice. It's hard to look at Newt, and I recommend that perhaps he could go to the same plastic surgeon that Hillary's been going to.
Yeah.
He's put on some pounds,
Thanks
too.
for the call, Scott. Yeah, I mean, maybe...
Newt opened up his jacket there, because Trump's been, test piloting all these candidates, and Newt opened up his blazer the other day, and I just went, oh, he's pregnant with triplets, or could it be twins?
Hillary, Newt, and
Bernie.
Hillary, Newt, and Trump. The three.
Ew.
Oh, here, wait, I could do a Karnak.
Okay, do it.
Hillary, Newt, and Trump. Blowing the envelope open. Group discount for liposuction.
Gentlemen, milady, you will always remember this as the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you've been putting off purchasing your first firearm or maybe adding to your collection, here's a great new offer from Schrenk Smoke & Gun. Through July only, purchase any store-owned firearm and receive 2 free boxes of range ammo. Such a deal. And the selection is great because Schrenks carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. Plus, Schrenks has full gunsmith services, so plan ahead for hunting season. And if you love cigars, then check out Schrenks Humidors. Don't miss this July deal of 2 free boxes of range ammo when you purchase any store-owned firearm. Visit SmokeTheletterN.gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrenks Smoke & Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034 or online at SmokeTheletterN.gun.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
More pirate talk, and Obama's police race relations summit includes Black Lives Matter agitators. Is that appropriate? We'll discuss at 5:38.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Morning, everyone. 69 degrees. Donald Trump set to announce his choice for vice president tomorrow. In a tweet, Trump confirming he'll make the big revelation at 10 a.m. our time in Manhattan. Trump narrowing his choices to just a few, including former House Speaker Newt Gingrich and Indiana Governor Mike Pence.
Ultimately, this is a decision that our nominee will make, and I'm confident that he'll make a great decision.
Pence had breakfast with Trump and his family yesterday. Meantime, a funeral for a Minnesota man whose police shooting death sparked protests across the country as today the procession for Philando Castile begins this morning in St. Paul. The president himself will take part in a town hall-style meeting on race relations tonight. 5 police officers killed in Dallas continue to be honored and remembered. Funeral services for Brett Thompson and Lauren Aarons were held yesterday, while a private mass for Michael Smith was held. This morning, check your pantries as more Betty Crocker cake mix is being recalled because of an E. coli outbreak. Party Rainbow Chip Cake Mix and Carrot Cake Mix, now part of that recall after a supplier used flour produced at a Kansas City plant that is likely the source of the E. coli outbreak. 40 have been sickened. Cleanup underway after storms hit parts of Chicagoland in the evening and overnight, downing trees and power lines. Chicago Public Schools CEO Forrest Claypool telling principals this morning teacher layoffs are not likely and there will be no drastic further cuts, but they will have to make do with less money. Indiana toll road officials this morning say some credit cards cannot be used to pay tolls right now because of a power outage that was caused by a crash Wednesday in Elkhart County. Spokeswoman says the outage knocked out communication, so those cards may not be able to be used. She says those with no cash will be billed by attendants manning the tolls, and we'll follow up on that story for you throughout the morning. The All-Star break continues as action on the pitch came after the big storms rolled through last night. May have helped the Fire in a win over Sporting KC, 1-0. WNBA, Los Angeles over the Sky, 77-67, and the 145th British Open is underway. The news, a service of Staples, with everything you need for back to school at the lowest prices, period, with their 110% price match guarantee. Price match plus the 10% difference on discount valid at checkout for items from retailers operating online and in retail stores. See store or staples.com for details. Staples, make more happen. 5:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
What is this nonsense?
The Joe Walsh Show.
Time magazine had on their cover a question. Why did 49 people die? Why, are you serious? 49 innocent people lost their lives in Orlando because a Muslim terrorist killed them. There's your answer, you stupid media.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership. Customers like Rick Williams of Pump Supply agree.
Hi, my name is Rick Williams, owner of Pump Supply Incorporated. As a business owner, I recognize the importance of relationships. I need a bank that understands my business and is able to respond quickly and creatively to the needs of my company. Cornerstone has been a valuable business partner and has helped me grow my company and seize opportunities as I come across them. Whether it's providing a line of credit or financing the acquisition of equipment or real estate, Cornerstone has been there for me every step of the way.
Thanks, Rick. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender. Member FDIC.
5:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Chicago's south side, there's still a very active police investigation. The Park Manor area around 67th and State after an earlier shooting. No delays to report on the Edens, Kennedy just yet. The Eisenhower and Stevenson are still fine. Inbound Ryan, stop and go from the Stevenson to the Burns Circle. 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound 15, but there is road work Pershing to 59th, the 2 right lanes. There's some ramp closures in that area as well. And Bishop Ford has a 2 or 3 minute delay from Cottage Grove to the Rhine. No delays to report on the tollways or in northwest Indiana. Traffic is a service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny, breezy, less humid this afternoon, a high of 85. Currently 68. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, happy Bastille Day.
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Scott just reminded me it was Bastille Day. Remember,
John Kerry's in France celebrating Bastille Day.
Of course he
along
is.
with the 1 anniversary of the Iranian nuclear deal. What did we get out of that, by the way? What's in it for us?
Nuclear Iran. That's
Yeah.
what's in it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrating both at the same time. Thanks, John Kerry. Have you not anything better to do with your time?
What, do you know what anniversary this is of Bastille Day?
Bastille Day, it's a French thing. Hold on.
Yeah, French
It's a French
thing. You
thing.
got
I know
that right.
I ran the 5K Bastille Day run. Did you?
I think that is actually what happened in 1789, too. It was a 5K.
It's the French national holiday. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's their 4th of July, right?
Yeah, I mean.
No, is it? It is.
It's a national, yeah. It's a national.
Are there not fireworks going off near the Eiffel Tower today? No, are there?
I'm sure they have. That could be just welcoming John Kerry. It could
There was
be
a
for Bastille Day.
revolution, and now, yes.
Yeah. All right. Oh, great.
Well, give me the day and the year. Something in 1789 or something.
Yeah, 1789.
Bonjour! That was on my t-shirt.
Exactly.
That was on my t-shirt.
Thank you.
I ran.
Thank you, groundskeeper Willie.
Didn't stop running.
So President Obama had a meeting for an important conversation about community policing and criminal justice reform and race relations.
Do you know who he's meeting with today?
Who's he meeting with
Alton Sterling's son
Mm-hmm.
and mom.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Because he called them, too, on the way to Dallas. He called Castile's mother, and he called Sterling's mother on Air Force One on his way to Dallas. And then brought up their names at the memorial service and not the police officers' names.
Yeah, and with
sick,
particularly with respect to Philandro Castile.
Yes. Oh,
we're learning a lot more information about Mr. Castile, some of which provides kind of, or at least raises important questions about that police stop and, frankly, Mr. Castile and how much of a victim he may or may not have been.
He did have a concealed carry, but the officer says that there was a weapon, an exposed weapon on his lap when he walked up to the car. That's according to CNN. That was their late-breaking news.
That's been disputed, but the point is whether you have a legal concealed carry permit or not. If you have a gun on your lap and a police officer is at your window, here's what you don't want to do.
Okay, tell me.
You don't want to reach for the gun. You want to say, "Here are my hands, officer," and you instruct me what you would like me to do because I have this gun right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you the story. I got pulled over for speeding, and I had a gun in the glove compartment of my car, and I have a valid concealed carry permit. And I notified the officer that that was the case before I moved to get my insurance card.
Right.
To give him. So that's what you do because that's sensible, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so that whole discussion seems to me a bit tangential to the Castile case. But it's interesting that he is making overtures to the families in those two police-involved shootings. Did he make overtures to the families of the 5 officers murdered in Dallas? Did he call them, or did he?
Well, he met with them after that interfaith memorial service. Did he invite them to Washington, D.C.? No, he did not. But
yeah.
Sterling's son, I don't know if you heard him yesterday. He
the 15-year-old kid.
Yeah, he finally came forward and he said, protest, but do it peacefully.
My father was a good man. That was a sacrifice to show everyone what has been going on in life. And it should give everyone a push that everyone should be together, not against each other. And another thing, the protesting. I feel that everyone, yes, you can protest, but I want everyone to protest the right way.
Yeah, and he's just calling for people. Great. I mean, 15-year-old kid, he looks exactly like his father.
Impressive. It was an
Yeah.
impressive offering from that young man. Nothing wrong with what he said. But here's the question. Is something wrong with the president inviting DeRay McKesson and who's one of the founders, organizers, agitators-in-chief of the Black Lives Matter movement, and others to the White House for this quote-unquote important conversation? DeRay McKesson, another Minneapolis-based Black Lives Matter agitator named Mika Grimm.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
She's the one that organized some of the marches in St. Paul.
Oh, yeah, where they shut down I-35 and I-94. Yeah.
Where someone threw, and I'm not holding her responsible for what every protester does, but let's just understand what kind of protest or march, civil disobedience we had. They were yelling "F the police." One officer had vertebrae cracked from a rock that was thrown.
21 police officers were injured. And even the police
Right.
chief in St. Paul held up a crowbar and said somebody threw this at one of our officers, besides the fireworks and the bottles and the rocks.
Yeah.
Just complete lawlessness. I mean, if they're real leaders of the BLM movement, you want to stand up and say, don't pick up anything, don't throw. I mean, it's bad enough they're stopping traffic. What if there was an emergency and an ambulance had to get through? I mean, they're disrupting other people's lives, but they don't tell them to stand down. They don't do the right thing because they can get away with it because nobody arrests them.
And New York Times CBS News poll out yesterday, 69% of Americans say race relations are generally bad, which is one of the highest levels of racial discord or concern that race relations are deteriorating since the L.A. riots in '92 after the Rodney King case. That is 6 in 10 Americans say race relations are growing worse.
Huh.
That's up from 38%. That's, it's almost double since just last year, and certainly exponentially higher than when President Obama took office and was ushered in on this wave of belief that racial healing would occur, that some of the racial disharmony would be alleviated, and that hasn't happened. 70% of Americans think race relations are generally bad.
Do you feel that way?
No, I think people have the impression from what they see on TV and what they hear from anchor bots and pablum-puking cable news pundits and professional agitators and craven, compromised politicians. I mean, let's not forget, both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have genuflected before the Black Lives Matter movement and iterations of its leadership during the primary.
Yeah, and Hillary apologized yesterday, saying that she's part of the reason why there's divisiveness in this country, and she's to blame. But then a hot second later, she ripped on Donald Trump and said he'd be dangerous if he were president.
It's feigning accountability. It's feigning
so
accountability.
crazy.
And let me give you an example of why I think people have the impression, or why you have 70% of people saying race relations are generally bad. They're over extrapolating from the anecdotal. I think if people think about, well, how does it work in my life? And how does it work with the people I interact on? I don't know, on a daily basis, I interact with people that have different characteristics from me all day, every day. And no
Me
problems.
too. Right.
No problems,
Yeah.
productively. And I think that's the case with the overwhelming majority of Americans. So I would just caution people not to divine too much from much of the nonsense and the overheated rhetoric and the rank ignorance you see vomited from the mouths of those assembled on cable news stations, as I just described, and on some radio stations too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm horrible. I'm guilty of this knee-jerk reaction when I saw the live stream of Castile being shot, or right after he was shot. I bought into that. I bought into everything that Diamond, now whatever her name is, Reynolds, said. I thought, oh my gosh, he did panic. That's what I thought. Maybe he could have used a taser. Who knows? I'm not a police officer for a reason, because I don't want to be in that situation, because I think other people can handle that job better. But now looking at the case and looking at more information that's come forward, he might not have been completely out of line in shooting Castile.
Well,
he was scared for his own life. And his attorney said this is about a gun, not about race.
Well, and the reason you can't get to the relevant discussion is because of exchanges like this. So I'll give you an example just to make this concrete. This was on CNN yesterday. Ebony Magazine editor Jamila Lemieux, I believe is her name.
Your pronunciations are spectacular.
Well, thank you very much. And the question is over hate crime, whether or not the murder of those 5 officers in Dallas should be characterized as a hate crime. And here's Miss Lemieux's response.
I have to say I would not describe hate crime as the most comfortable word choice considering these circumstances. There's so much that we do not know about what took place, what motivated this person. We only have the one account of law enforcement. We haven't had the opportunity to really look into his history in a meaningful way. When we use a phrase like hate crime, we're typically referring to crimes against people of color, people of various religious groups, LGBT people who have been historically attacked, abused, or disenfranchised on the basis of their identity. To now extend that to the majority group and a group of people that has a history with African Americans that has been abusive, and we can apply that to either police officers or to Caucasians, I think gets into very tricky territory. So I'd be curious to know if he was referring to this as a hate crime because he singled them out by race or attempted to single them out by race, or because they were police officers.
So this is what happens. You have something like what's happened over the last week, and then you have leftists use this as an opportunity to propagate leftist victimology. And that's what this is. We own the hate crime tag. Nobody else can have it. Nobody else wants it, and you shouldn't want it either. I mean, and the problem is then you have the response from the countervailing viewpoint, and it starts from the premise of the left that there is such these hate crime laws should exist, and that we should be debating what constitutes a hate crime and what doesn't, rather than just focusing on the substantive act of violence.
But aren't only white people charged with hate crimes? Because if you're a minority, you really can't be charged with a hate crime.
You can't.
I've never seen it in my time.
Well, you can be. The actual hate crime laws do not designate a list of races.
Okay.
So she's wrong on the law, and she's wrong on the ideology, and it's the wrong conversation to have, so we shouldn't buy into it. We should say that the whole thing is silliness. I mean, from the mouth of Charles Barkley. Okay, you want to kind of drill down into very simple terms. Charles Barkley was on Dan Libetard's show on ESPN yesterday, this was on Tuesday, I guess, and he just said, look, police have made some mistakes. It doesn't give us the right to riot and shoot cops. Barkley said it still bothers him that black people never get mad when black people kill each other. Now, of course, some do, and just added that there's a lot of blame to go around. If we could just kind of start from that foundation and then talk about remedies and maybe talk about the things in American culture that rot our core and spread to our gray matter, then I think you start to get to a productive place.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
What a difference a day makes. 70 degrees right now at O'Hare, going up to a high of 85 degrees. We'll have partly sunny skies, and it'll be breezy, less humid. That'll be nice. Tonight, clear, and tomorrow, not as warm with intervals of clouds and sunshine. A cool 76 degrees for a high. Anything cool out on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, at this hour, Amy, good morning. The Edens is fairly refreshing. 19 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy is still fine, too. 20 minutes O'Hare to downtown and outbound the same. Now the inbound Eisenhower is heating up. It's slow from Manheim to Harlem. 34 minutes Thorndale to downtown. Outbound fine at 29. Stevenson is 38 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound construction is wrapping up in Pershing and 59th in the locals. I-57, 17 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Vision 423 at 130th. A pickup lost a tires. The left lane is partially blocked. The tollways are good. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, they're already putting out the back-to-school supplies on the shelves, and the school year is just around the corner. And maybe this summer you've been rethinking about sending your kids to a public school. Things are changing in our public schools, and not always for the better. So now might be the time to consider a private school, and you could do it for half the price of regular tuition thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across the Chicagoland area, available at half off the normal price. There's no catch. It's real simple. Find a school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located all across the Chicagoland area, including Palos Heights, Romeoville, Libertyville, Wheaton, South Holland, Chicago, Arlington Heights, just to name a few. But don't delay. Every year, these vouchers sell out, and school will be starting again in just a few weeks. So visit halfpriceschools.com today. halfpriceschools.com.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of your #1 home mortgage lender, Townstone Financial. I continue to get calls and emails from homeowners whose interest rates are above 4%. Please do yourself a favor. Take 1 minute. Dial 312-896-2111 or go to townstone.com and let us give you some no closing cost refinance options today. No closing costs means no hidden costs. I guarantee it, and I own the company. Remember, you don't have to restart your mortgage at 30 years or 15. We can customize the payback period. Also, if your home is worth less than what you owe, we still have the government HARP program, which will allow you to refinance and save money. And anyone who has an FHA mortgage or one with private mortgage insurance definitely needs to call me now so we can lower your monthly mortgage payments due to the recent increase in home values. The call is free, and so is my time. So dial 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111, or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com. Townstone Financial is an Illinois mortgage licensee, 6629, and MLS 136639, equal housing lender.
I'm Shalom Klein. Join me each week for the Get Down to Business radio show. The show is packed with ideas that will inspire as you search for best practices to grow your business. Whether you are an experienced entrepreneur or just learning the ropes, Get Down to Business will tackle the issues affecting your everyday work life. Get Down to Business is powered by Tandem HR. Exceptional workplace, exceptional people. Listen each week to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein. Heard Sunday afternoons at 6 right here on AM 560.
AM 560, The Answer.
So 70% of Americans say race relations are generally bad, highest percentage since the LA riots almost 25 years ago. Kent in Lincoln Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. First of all, I want to say I have the utmost respect for you and Amy, Dan. But, I got a serious question for you. And I'm not trying to score political points here because I more ideologically look at things the way you do. But, I had talked to you Thursday, and I said, why do those people or these people get so angry? And you said to me, who are these people? And then Amy kind of ended the conversation. And when I was saying those people, I meant people from the black community that, come out by the thousands when a cop shoots somebody who's African-American. When that happens with a white person, that never happens. And when you and then you made my point today, actually. You suggest that things aren't, any worse off racially. Are you kidding me? Ferguson at Baltimore, the police had just got the riots in Louisiana where a cop got a brick thrown in his face.
Yeah.
The cops that get shot in Dallas. What are we talking about here?
Well,
political office.
Well, no, I'm not. Thanks for the call, Ken. What I'm saying, when things are not as bad as you would believe they are if you just watch what you see on cable news channels. Yes, you're right. Ferguson and the riots in St. Paul and Baton Rouge and the violence against police officers, yes, that is worse. But I'm saying it is a small group of people. The overwhelming majority of Americans interact with people of different races productively all day, every day, as I said. here's the other thing. The overwhelming majority of Americans see those riots in St. Paul or Ferguson, and they say, look, I may have some disagreements with other people about certain positions and issues, but I will not countenance what I see on TV. I don't want any part of that. That's where a majority of Americans are, black and white.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, how open carry in Ohio is posing a bigger security threat for the RNC convention. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, severe storms hit parts of Chicagoland while there was a vigil to remember Sandra Bland. Partly sunny day ahead. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Days before Republicans convene in Cleveland, some will gather today to try to work out party rules.
If there's a contested convention, it'll start this morning with the Rules Committee. Colorado delegate Kendall Unruh plans to introduce a proposal to unbind delegates who otherwise must follow the result of their state's caucus or primary. RNC Chairman Reince Priebus wants unity around Trump to defeat Hillary Clinton.
That's Fox's Jared Halpert in Cleveland. Trump's still trying to decide who to pick as his running mate.
In my own mind, I probably am thinking about two.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Trump has been holding a flurry of meetings with finalists, including with Indiana Governor Mike Pence, who calls himself a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order.
I'm honored to be considered and humbled to be considered.
Trump also met with former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who describes himself as an outsider.
I'm oriented towards moving the great base of the party.
Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions also had to sit down with Trump. Trump has dismissed reports that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is off the list. Christie was the first major Republican to endorse Trump. Dave.
Rachel, Democrat Hillary Clinton will campaign today in Virginia with someone mentioned as her possible running mate, Senator Tim Kaine. A new Fox poll gives her a 7-point lead over Trump in Virginia, a 10-point edge in Colorado. There will be a funeral today for the black man killed by police at a Minnesota traffic stop. Philando Castile's shooting helped spark nationwide protests. President Obama met yesterday with cops and community activists talking about racial problems.
We do have to try to constructively solve them and not simply win talking point arguments.
A lot of Americans are angry when they drive. 8 in 10 of us admit in a new AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety survey to some form of road rage in the past year. Tailgating, cutting someone off, yelling at a driver, or perhaps gesturing their number one with a choice finger. An estimated 8 million drivers bumped or rammed a vehicle or got out to confront somebody. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Some clouds, 69 degrees this morning, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. We're watching cleanup after severe storms struck parts of Chicagoland in the early evening and overnight. Strong storms, hail damage, downed trees, and Thousands lost power from ComEd. Candlelight vigil held at Chicago's Federal Plaza, marking the one-year anniversary of the death of Sandra Bland, a black woman who died in a Texas jail cell after a traffic stop.
When I say Sandra, you say Bland. Sandra. Bland. Sandra. Bland.
Bland died a year ago, Wednesday, after a Texas state trooper pulled her over. 3 days earlier, she was taken to Waller County Jail in Hempstead, Texas. Bland had been moving from Texas to Villa Park at the time. An investigation is underway after a Lake County jail inmate was found dead in his cell. Jonathan Velasquez was discovered yesterday with a strap wrapped around his neck. He was initially sent to jail last month on a criminal sexual assault charge, later accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill a witness in his case. Hillary Clinton visiting the state, urging Americans to unite.
There is too much violence and hate in our country. Too little trust and common ground.
Speaking in Springfield, the same site where Abraham Lincoln delivered his House divided speech, Clinton called for an open dialogue on race relations. A key Chicago alderman reversing her plan to allow private vehicle booting firms to charge drivers who pay with a credit card a convenience fee. Alderman Emma Mitt said many aldermen objected, saying it was piling on to allow booting firms to add a few more bucks to the $140 removal cost. Mitz withdrew her plan for the fee, which would have applied to boot crews that roam some 28 of the city's 50 wards, looking for cars parked illegally in private lots. Fire winners over Sporting KC in the MLS 1-0. WNBA sparks over the Chicago sky, and the British Open is underway at Royal Troon. The news, a service of Staples, with everything you need for back to school. The lowest prices, period. With their 110% price match guarantee, price match plus the 10% difference discount, valid at checkout for items from retailers operating online and in retail stores. See store or staples.com for details. Staples, make more happen. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes we've hit a new low.
The corruption is so deep, and it is so painful to me as a lover of this country. There have been many politicians who have engaged in disrespectable, non-respectable dealings, but she's number one. She's the lowest character candidate in American history. Here is the most interesting aspect of it. It doesn't bother any Democrat.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
QL1, this is Control, checking in to see how excited you are for launch. Over? Well, actually, Control, I'm kind of bored. I think you cut out, QL1. It sounded like you said you were bored. That's affirmative, Control. You're about to travel 17,000 miles per hour through Earth's atmosphere, and you're bored? It just doesn't sound that exciting after using Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. I was able to get a completely online custom mortgage approval in minutes. All right, you cut out for sure this time. Did you say I can get a mortgage approval in minutes? That's right, Control. Minutes. Whether you're purchasing a new house or refinancing your existing home, Rocket Mortgage securely pulls your pay stubs and bank statements to build you a custom mortgage solution so you get exactly what you want. Wow, that is exciting. Yep, definitely better than months of dehydrated ice cream and powdered orange drink. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
6:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest on the roads with Jim Talavanti.
Thanks, Mike. The CTA is reporting delays on the Brown Line in the Loop. Trains are standing at Adams and Wabash due to a mechanical problem. This likely will affect the other elevated lines in the Loop as well. Down Kennedy, traffic is now slow from the River Road toll to Cumberland. 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown, up on 20. The Edens remains clear. About Eisenhower, 36 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, up on 30. The Stevenson is 40 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, up on 5 to 34. Ryan, 23 minutes. 95th to the Loop. I-57, 20 minutes. I-80 to the Murray, Bishop Ford, 25. Left shoulder blocked at 130th. Pickup, which lost a tire. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Traffic is a service of TrueCar. Save time and money by downloading TrueCar's mobile app. Configure the new car you want, see what others paid for it, and get guaranteed savings. TrueCar users save on average over $3,000 off MSRP. Save time and save money. Download the TrueCar app today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Ashley Benoit.
Partly sunny today, breezy and less humid this afternoon, high 85. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight, low 65. Partial sunshine tomorrow with a shower in spots, not as warm, high 76. Sunny on Saturday, high 80. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Clouds and sun, 69. Next news at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Lou Bridges Show. Get foreclosure defense solutions that may save your home. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit. He can explain away anything.
Imagine if he had not just Twitter and cable news to go after his critics and opponents, but also the IRS, or for that matter, our entire military.
It's a binary choice. It is either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You don't get a third option. It's one or the other, and I know where I want to go.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, guns but no God in Cleveland for the Republican National Convention next week. Guns. Ohio has an open carry law.
Oh, yeah.
And thus, that is the law. And so, except within prescribed areas where people like us that have passes to the convention will not be allowed to carry weapons. Outside, even if you're protesting Donald Trump or the Republican Party, or you just got nothing better to do and you want to go where the mob is, you're going to be allowed to carry, to open carry, so long as you are legally enabled to do so.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 rings of security, one around the Quicken Loan Center, which is going to be controlled by Secret Service, and then a larger ring where, and in that Secret Service ring, the red ring they call it, Dan, no guns are allowed. So you cannot bring your gun because you'll be inside, so you can't bring your weapon.
Right.
But those outside in the larger ring can bring guns. And the Cleveland police chief was asked about this yesterday. His name, and get to know it, Calvin Williams. Calvin Williams, what's his name?
Calvin Williams.
He understands the law. They don't want protesters to bring weapons, but they can't stop them.
Of course. But it's the law in this state. And as police chief, I'm bound to uphold the law in this state.
No, that's a novel. We don't hear that very much, that somebody is charged with upholding and enforcing the law is actually going to uphold and enforce the law. You don't hear that a lot in terms of the political ruling class. They're always exempting themselves.
So here's what you can't bring, though. So if you're a protester, get out your scorecards, because you can bring, if you have an open carry, you can bring your gun, but you can't bring an air rifle, knives, paintball gun, so leave your paintball gun at home, and a steel-tipped umbrella. So
do you have any concerns about following the law, about protesters being allowed to abide the law in Cleveland? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. You concerned about a shootout at the OK Corral kind of thing, which is what anti-gun proponents always suggest will happen when the civilians, otherwise law-abiding civilians, are armed. Now, in this case, we may have some otherwise not law-abiding civilians armed, but they wouldn't potentially be legally armed, or if they don't abide the law, then they get arrested.
Well, because of what happened in Dallas, now 5,000 more police officers are going to be in Cleveland. They're even borrowing, believe it or not, police officers from neighboring Indiana. Some Indiana State police officers are coming to Cleveland to help out.
Dallas was a wake-up call for a lot of people. You know, it causes all of law enforcement, it causes all of this country to kind of step back, take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it.
And some people are even afraid to go to the convention because of what happened in Dallas, and they think that there is going to be something nefarious, something criminal going on in Cleveland.
Well, I mean, you've got the same problem potentially ahead in Philadelphia. Don't forget I don't know, this assortment of socialist agitators have already announced weeks ago that they were going to send 20,000 people to protest the Democrat National Convention.
Really? Well, there's going to be a BLM protest on Sunday night outside the Quicken Loans Arena in that space where, yes, you can bring a gun if you have an open carry permit.
Right.
Now, if you have a concealed carry permit from Illinois, that does not translate into an open carry permit in Ohio. So that's
right.
Right. Well, I'm just saying they wanted. That's why the police chief had a press conference yesterday, wanting people to know what they can and cannot bring, and don't try anything here. But they're expecting for it. I mean, they put up remember when NATO came to Chicago, those 8-foot high steel fences.
Yeah.
That were those are around, not the red zone and then the wider perimeter as
They
well.
did the same thing in Tampa 4 years ago.
And how was security then? But that was a different time. I mean,
it was a different time, but they did materially the same thing. Are they bringing more resources to bear in Cleveland because of the nature of where we are and what's happened recently? Yeah, probably. Fine. But I mean, you don't have to. I don't want to be in the business of feeding the hysteria. Are they going to be protesters? Sure, they're going to be protesters. Are the police going to be prepared? Sounds like they're going to be prepared. Have they set up perimeters the same way that perimeters have been set up in other major American cities and past conventions, Republican and Democrat? Yeah. But I mean, this kind of expectation of lawlessness, we shouldn't. We should have an expectation of law enforcement. And that's what the police chief said. And so long as they bring the resources and plot this out, like it sounds like they have, I'm not particularly concerned. Are you concerned?
Open carry doesn't concern you?
No.
Not at all.
Why should it concern me?
If the protesters, I don't know, having protesters because they've been throwing rocks and bottles because they don't have weapons because they legally can't carry them. But if they can legally carry them in Cleveland, do you think they'll use that against police officers? Or am I just
all 50
going a crazy
states,
town?
all 50 states
There's 50 states.
have right to carry laws.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So with the Black Lives Matter protests, and even when they've turned violent, why do you think they're throwing rocks and bottles? Because they don't have access to guns? No. It's because if they open fire, then they are not going to survive that protest. Because
they'll live in a body bag.
Well, because I mean, I'm just saying there is overwhelming force present. And so they're doing what they can do, where essentially police have to keep their hands at their sides. So the fireworks and the rocks and the bottles, you're not going to respond to that necessarily with deadly force. Somebody brandishes a gun, much less uses it, and that completely changes the situation, doesn't it? And they know that as well. It's not that. Think about all of the protests that we've had. Why haven't we seen that? Because police, generally speaking, have done their job, because they've brought overwhelming force, and because they know they've presented the disincentive to go beyond what they know police will tolerate. And so I go back to say, this is the same argument. The people that kind of want to conjure up these Hollywood movie images of what's going to happen if you allow law-abiding citizens to exercise their constitutional rights. It's no more than allowing law-abiding citizens to exercise their First Amendment constitutional rights.
But isn't it tempting?
What if somebody says something incendiary? This is the argument that's been made by the gun banners for 30 years. If you allow law-abiding citizens to carry weapons, we're going to have shootouts at with every fender bender. It's going to be the OK Corral all over the nation. And you know what? It hasn't come to pass. Not even close. Because it turns out that law-abiding citizens, they're law-abiding. It's a bit of a tautology.
Right, but you're putting different groups. I mean, this is what the police chief said yesterday. You're putting white supremacist groups are coming, Palestinian rights groups are coming, Black Lives Matters groups are coming. And if you have open carry, which they do in Ohio, don't you think somebody's tempted to grab someone's gun, though, and do something? Because it's hanging out there for them. They can just grab anyone's weapon and just start shooting.
This isn't a Ron Burgundy movie. where you've got, the various news station teams coming
Don't
together.
forget Telemundo.
Yeah, to have a gang war. So, with perhaps the exception of Black Lives Matter because of their past conduct in other cities, I have no reason to believe any other group is coming there to be violent or to coming there for the express purpose of trying to antagonize police or otherwise generate lawlessness. Palestinian rights groups, so okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. There's going to be different groups coming.
Yeah, and so the police matter is different than it has been in previous conventions. There's no question. But some of the other groups coming there to protest the Republican Party's position on this or that, or Donald Trump's rhetoric on this or that, well, is that materially different than's happened in the past? No, not really. I mean, we can tolerate Occupy. We can tolerate all of the other strains of ignorance, collected and concentrated in a single place. We could do the same thing in Cleveland. Here's something else that's interesting, though, about Cleveland. No billboard. There was a billboard proposal for a God's Not Dead 2, the movie. Because it's coming out on DVD. It was going to be 32 by 60 feet, featuring Melissa Joan Hart, who plays the teacher in the movie series, with the text, "I'd rather stand with God and be judged by the world than stand with the world and be judged by God." Okay. Orange Barrel Media, the billboard company in question, denied the proposed billboard, suggesting that it's needlessly provocative. The distributor the distributor of the film was told that it didn't like the judge by God message. It calls that too political and way too incendiary to be judged. Because, it's got judge in there. Judged by God. That's,
ooh.
Yeah, those are.
I need a safe space, Dan.
Right. Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, F the police. Not that these are on billboards, but, the incendiary rhetoric that the left tolerates, and then what they call incendiary rhetoric is just so interesting. Now, the flip side of that is there will be a bunch of atheist signs, billboards around Cleveland, including a giant billboard with President Reagan's image, quoting him saying, "We establish no religion in this country." The sign was purchased by an atheist group called the Freedom From Religion Foundation. We've had dingbats from that foundation on this show before. So no God in Cleveland, but you can't bring your God. Well, you can bring your God.
But you can come to Cleveland armed.
But you can't put it on an Orange Barrel billboard. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, one group, Citizens for Trump, they're paying for their own private security to help them when they're out protesting or walking throughout Cleveland.
Good for them. Phil in the Northwest Side.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I was going to say, if you can't bring God, you might as well bring a gun. But all the godless communists and godless Democrats orchestrate this. And I was going to tell Amy, it doesn't matter if the skinheads and the Black Panthers and La Raza and ISIS and everybody else comes, because from the Nazis to La Raza, they're all Democrat Party members, all of them.
Thanks, Phil.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Democratic platform coming up next, but first, here's your forecast. Partly sunny today, breezy, a lot less humid than we're used to, a high of 85 degrees, 74 right now at O'Hare. And then tomorrow, not as warm with some clouds and sun, a high only in the mid-70s. Let's get those travel times. Anything high on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Something low lying on the Bishop Ford Freeway. Amy, outbound at 111, there's a mattress blocking the right lane. Watch out for that. Haven't seen any MyPillows in the area. Nobody's going to throw one of those away. On the inbound side, we see delays from the Steel Bridge to 130th. There's a pickup which lost a tire on the left shoulder. Then it's slow from 103rd to the merge. I-57 got about a 5-minute delay starting at 107th. And then the Ryan is 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Eden still fine. Kennedy, 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 21. The Eisenhower, 46 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 31. Stevenson is 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Adams Tollway a bit slow from the Tri-State onto the Kennedy. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, if you've been putting off purchasing your first firearm or maybe adding to your collection, here's a great new offer from our friends at Schrank Smoke & Gun. In July only, purchase any store-owned firearm and receive 2 free boxes of range ammo. Such a deal. And the selection is great because Schrank's carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. Plus, Schrank's has full gunsmith services, so plan ahead for hunting season. And if you love cigars like Dan does, then check out Schrank's humidors. So don't miss this July deal of 2 free boxes of range ammo when you purchase of any store-owned firearm. Visit gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrank Smoke & Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034 or online at gun.org.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. They'll also keep you cool this summer with temporary air conditioners for any situation, big or small. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com. Reserve now for summer festival season.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Hillary Clinton was in our fair state capital yesterday, Springfield, and boy, this is just delicious. Listen to what she had to say about Donald Trump.
Imagine if he had not just Twitter and cable news to go after his critics and opponents, but also the IRS, or for that matter, our entire military.
Yeah, but before...
Okay. Just one point of order. Wow. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the incumbent IRS Commissioner, John Koskinen, is facing an impeachment resolution.
Yeah.
Imagine if Donald Trump had the IRS to go after political opponents. I'm sorry, the administration that you want to provide a third term to, what have they done? They have illegally targeted Lois Lerner pleading the fifth, John Koskinen facing impeachment for illegally targeting people based on their political beliefs and religious beliefs. The hubris, the shamelessness of Hillary Clinton is galactic in proportion. Galactic.
And 2 sentences before she made that comment, she was calling for unity.
I cannot stand here and claim that my words and actions haven't sometimes fueled the partisanship. I have to do better, too.
So she took responsibility for her rhetoric, and then 2 sentences later slams Donald Trump, saying that, he's not, he's dangerous. He's so dangerous that he threatens democracy.
What a grand concession.
Oh, and she does that with where Abraham Lincoln once stood.
Sometimes I may have veered into the language of partisanship. Oh, really? Miss Vast Right-Wing Conspiracy is the defense for all of my criminal conduct for 25 years. Good grief. And this is also...
Let her in, by the way. Why was she standing where Abraham Lincoln once stood, where he once spoke?
Yeah, well,
to talk about slavery.
Abolishment
of slavery.
To borrow a phrase from former U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald, I believe Abraham Lincoln is spinning in his grave with some of the national figures that have come to Springfield, including the incumbent president and the woman who seeks to be, to invoke his name. Good grief, House divided. But there's also this nice little distillation of the Democrat Party platform, because their convention's just around the corner, too. We talked a little bit about the Republican Party platform earlier this week. Democrat Party platform, sharp left turn, Bill Galston, The Wall Street Journal. A lot of Bernie proposals in there, $15 minimum wage, no position on Trans-Pacific Partnership. Also, no discussion of regulatory reform. And then this is where it really veers hard left. In the 2012 platform for the Democrat Party, the death penalty must not be arbitrary. That was the statement. This year, for the first time, the death penalty's abolition is called for. The 2012 Dem platform called for reasonable regulations of guns, but pledged to preserve American Second Amendment rights. No reference to the Second Amendment in the party platform this time. In 2012, Dem platform called for constitutionally sound, evidence-based partnerships with faith-based institutions. No conflict between supporting faith-based institutions and respecting our Constitution, said the platform in 12. No such language in 2016, but it does call for a constitutional amendment that would make it possible to overturn decades of Supreme Court decisions on campaign finance. And the 2012 platform contained a handful of muted references to racial issues. This year, they're front and center. The Democrat Party is to promote racial justice as well as environmental and climate justice, advocate criminal justice reform, and push for, quote, societal transformation to make it clear that, quote, Black Lives Matter and there is no place for racism in our country. Black Lives Matter taking over the Democrat Party, setting up the 1968 race redux, setting up a Trump presidency.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. Glad you're here with us today. HealthQuest Radio is Chicagoland's longest-running health news and science program. I've been an integrated healthcare practitioner for over 33 years now, and if you've been wondering what it's like to be a patient in our HealthQuest offices, well, take a look at our website. Go to healthquestradio.com under Testimonials and Tales of Wonder, right on the homepage, where you'll find many encouraging stories of success straight from our patient's mouth. Would you like to be done with those migraine headaches? Get your insulin under control, feel more energetic, maybe having better sex, get that libido in gear again, discover why you eat for every emotion, and then get it under control. On medication and want to be off of it, whatever health challenges you the most, you can schedule your new patient consult with me just by calling our HealthQuest Radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. 494-1855. We'll be back with more Health Quest right after this.
AM 560, The Answer.
So the list is out, huh? Who's going to be speaking at the convention? Is there a timeline set or just announcement of names? All I saw was Tim Tebow.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, just an announcement of names. You know, it's 4 days. Peter Thiel, the Facebook billionaire investor. That's an interesting one. So we'll go through that with Alan West. It's at 6:36.
And a surprise Trump is speaking, huh? That's going to be good. We'll tell you which one. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 69 degrees. President Barack Obama holding a nationally televised town hall today that he says will focus on reducing tensions between police and the communities that they serve.
I didn't hear anybody around this table suggest that this problem is going to be solved overnight, because the roots of the problems we saw this week date back not just decades, date back centuries.
That from yesterday's 4-hour-long closed-door meeting with elected officials and some law enforcement representatives. Indiana Governor Mike Pence says he's honored and humbled to be considered for vice president.
Ultimately, this is a decision that our nominee will make, and I'm confident that he'll make a great decision.
The likely Republican nominee, Donald Trump, hinted that his short list is down to just 2 candidates, including former House Speaker Newt Gingrich.
I think Trump has a tough call because he's got 2 really good but really different choices. And I think it'll be interesting to see. You know, I'm one of the people who will be sitting by the phone waiting tomorrow to see what he decides.
Gingrich on Fox News' Hannity program. 3 of the 5 police officers killed in last week's Dallas police ambush are being remembered. At a funeral yesterday, the widow of Dallas area Rapid Transit Officer Brent Thompson called him a phenomenal guy. People also paid their last respects to Dallas Police Senior Corporal Lauren Ahrens. A private mass was held for Sergeant Michael Smith. Cleanup underway in Chicago and the suburbs after storms hit the area overnight. Thousands remain without power. Hillary Clinton urging Americans to come together and seek common ground in Springfield, the site where Abraham Lincoln delivered his House Divided speech. And lots of folks may hear loud noises around Wrigley Field today. Chicago authorities holding an emergency drill at the ballpark, mimicking an active shooter situation. Chicago sports, MLS, fire over Sporting KC, 1-0. The news service of Staples, with everything you need for back to school at the lowest prices, period. With their 110% price match guarantee. Price match plus 10% difference discount. Valid at checkout for items from retailers operating online and retail stores. See store or staples.com for details. Staples, make more happen. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity can't believe the president is still bringing in Syrian refugees.
I said that if one person dies as a result of Hillary and Obama's policy, they'd have blood on their hands. I hold them responsible because they're not listening to James Clapper, James Comey, Michael Steinbeck, the House Homeland Security Chairman, and all these other people. They refuse to listen to them.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
I'm Alice, owner of a growing company. Our entire business depends on our phones, so I was challenged when our phone service providers struggled to deliver our calls, Missed calls means lost revenue. I heard Innovative Networks helped AM 560, so I called. They provided an innovative solution that reinforced our phone infrastructure and enhanced call flow. I truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing us a solution that scales as my business expands. They even replaced our outdated phone system and provided hands-on training to maximize our capabilities. Amazingly, it cost us nothing. I'm saving money and more focused on growing my business. I'm thrilled with Innovative Networks.
Follow Alice's lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-889-9090. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-889-9090 or visit go4inet.com. Are you happy with your carrier?
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
6:38 is our time. Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's inbound delay started 25 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy is 31 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. The Ike, 48 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. Stevenson is 42 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38. Bryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, so 95th to Archer. From the Stevenson to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Traffic service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Partly sunny, breezy, less humid this afternoon. A high of 85. Clear to partly cloudy and less humid overnight. We'll see a high temperature or low temperature of 65 and a high tomorrow of 76. 68 right now. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This list is very interesting.
Yeah, the list of speakers for next week's RNC has been released. And, Amy, I think you've cracked the case wide open in terms of the VP. You noticed something.
Yeah, I noticed that Newt Gingrich is on the list. Governor Chris Christie is on the list. One person who's not on the list is Governor Mike Pence. He would be the big surprise if he announces that on Friday that he's the vice presidential candidate, then this would be the big coup. So I think we're cracking the case. I think it's going to be Governor Mike Pence as the VP candidate.
Now, I said he was going to pick Pence about a month ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little bit betwixt and between about Pence and Gingrich, but I always prefer to be right. So I'm going to stick with I hope that it's Pence.
I hope for everyone's sake that you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something else just in terms of the topic of the day, really, in addition to President Trump, President-elect Trump's running mate, is the quote-unquote war on cops. And we're going to have Heather McDonald, the author of the book entitled The War on Cops, at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. This is the book that everybody's talking about. But yesterday, Senator Tim Scott African-American Republican from South Carolina. You know Tim Scott. We've had him on the show before.
Yep.
I like Tim Scott a lot. He took to the well of the Senate to offer a little bit of his personal experience being treated poorly, perhaps because of his race. I mean, that's what he essentially suggested, and talked about being pulled over 7 times in the last year by police officers since he's been elected to this, appointed to the Senate, but since he's been a U.S. Senator.
He doesn't have drivers, but okay. Maybe he doesn't utilize them like Dick Durbin does all the time.
Maybe he's a little bit more humble than some of the other ruling class politicians, which is one of the reasons I like him. And he also recounted an experience in the Senate, getting into the Senate, getting past security.
I recall walking into an office building just last year after being here for 5 years on the Capitol. And the officer looked at me with a little attitude and said, "The pen, I know. You, I don't. Show me your ID." I'll tell you, I was thinking to myself, either he thinks I'm committing a crime impersonating a member of Congress, or what? Well, I'll tell you that later that evening, I received a phone call from his supervisor apologizing for the behavior. Mr. President, that is at least the 3rd phone call that I've received from a supervisor or the chief of police since I've been in the Senate. So while I thank God I have not endured bodily harm, I have, however, felt the pressure applied by the scales of justice when they are slanted. I have felt the anger, the frustration, the sadness, and the humiliation that comes with feeling like you're being targeted for nothing more than being just yourself.
The pin he was referring to is the lapel pin that indicates he's
Yeah.
a U.S. Senator, that U.S. Senators receive. And so this is, it's important what he said because, we get into all of these binaries with this discussion, partly because of the ignorance that's piped through all the cable news channels and frankly, a lot of radio stations and old relic media in the Eastern Seaboard. It doesn't have to be you either, cops never do wrong or cops are racist minority hunters. There's a lot of intellectual space in between. And because you don't agree with assessments that 12,000 Chicago police officers are part of a systemically racist institution, I reject that notion. Doesn't mean that racism doesn't exist, doesn't mean that there aren't individuals that act boorishly or perhaps even illegally. And so you can have the larger conversation about remedying those instances where bad conduct occurs without essentially pitting civilization against the police. This is the conversation we're trying to have here. And I think Tim Scott helped facilitate that conversation with his remarks yesterday, particularly as a sitting Republican United States Senator. Well, somebody else who facilitates important discussions, and I didn't see on the list of speakers at the convention, I'm a little disappointed.
No, he's not on it.
Is our friend Colonel Allen West, who joins us now. Colonel West, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you all doing?
Good. And, of course, Colonel West, now the president and CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis, a public policy research organization in Texas. Colonel West, what did you make of Senator Scott's remarks yesterday?
Well, I got to tell you, I still go up to Washington, D.C. Once a month to meet with my former colleagues. And even though I don't still wear a pin, they recognize me, and I get the opportunity to come right in. As a matter of fact, when I do my morning runs up there, a lot of them still recognize me even when I'm out running. Look, maybe perhaps the fact that I drive a pickup truck with NRA stickers and airborne stickers is a reason why I don't get pulled over. I don't know. But I don't share that. I don't have that same experience. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia. My parents taught me about respect for the rule of law and for law enforcement officers and to carry myself in a respectful manner. And that's what I continue to try to do today. So I have a different experience, and but my experience, I didn't grow up in a posh, golden spoon type of environment, and I served 22 years in the military. And one thing I learned was respect is earned. It's just not granted, and it's all about how you carry yourself. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, so you've never been the victim of racial profiling?
No, nobody has pulled me over and profiled me for anything. Maybe folks didn't like it because I'm a Tennessee Volunteer fan or an Atlanta Braves fan or something like that. But no one has pulled me over just because of the color of my skin. And I think the most important thing is, I grew up in the neighborhood that produced Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Dr. King talked about the content of character. And I think we need to start talking about character and stop talking about skin color in the United States of America. And that leads me to the point where if everyone is so concerned about, quote unquote, Black Lives Matter and all this, why haven't there been so, protests in Chicago where we've seen incredible amounts of Black Lives laws? Why haven't there been protests in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Detroit, all of these inner cities, Atlanta? So I am sick and tired of people, leveraging political ideology to hijack something for their own electoral gain. And that's one of the reasons why I was kind of upset with what the president did here in Dallas. And, I just happened to be calling in from downtown Dallas to have to go in for a breakfast event. This was a great opportunity to stand and talk about character in this nation and not talk about skin color.
Yeah,
we don't need to keep
right. Or guns. Easier for a kid to get a Glock than a book. That kind of cheap rhetoric. But so and building upon that point, I wonder what your reaction was to the president inviting some of the lead agitators from Black Lives Matter to the White House.
Well, that's just wrong. Because if you want to talk about racism, I don't know why people believe that only if you're white you can be racist. If you look at some of the things that Black Lives Matter said, if you look at some of the things the new Black Panther Party said, I think that's just as racist as well. So no certain group has, a lock on the industry of racism. And we need to have a president that is the president of the United States of America and not the president of certain political groups that he feels he can identify with ideologically and also for his own electoral and political gain.
But what are your thoughts? You had 2 African Americans killed within 2 days from each other by the hands of law enforcement officers. What do you think of those 2 cases?
Well, look, how many blacks were shot over Independence Day weekend in Chicago? That's my point. So, we have to look at these situations and allow the system of justice to work out. We saw the president, we saw others rush to judgment in Ferguson, Missouri. They were completely wrong. That officer was justified in what he was doing. But yet we saw in North Charleston, South Carolina, an officer that had an unjustified shooting, and guess what? He's behind bars. So that's what you should allow to happen. And, the residents there in North Charleston, South Carolina, they didn't want protests. I remember them saying, we don't want Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, everyone down here. And guess what? The whole thing was resolved. The media was not able to hijack it and turn it into something for their gain either.
And so your response to the messaging you think should be delivered when you see the New York Times CBS poll yesterday, 70% of Americans think race relations are bad. I tend to think people make it out to be worse than it actually is because of everything they see on TV and the addled PC-addled rhetoric of politicians that most people in their daily lives get on very well with people of different races, get on very productively. But what you see on TV and what you hear from pundits and politicians gives you perhaps an impression that doesn't square with even the reality that people live.
Well, we've been bombarded with that message, of course, and so that's the normal reaction to people that consistently get this type of input from, the media sources that, this is a bad thing. This is a prevalent thing. But I will tell you that without a doubt, being on the ground down here, that there is a racial tension that has increased. And, I was born in 1961, and I remember, Lester Maddox, who was the governor of Georgia, he wasn't the most cheeky fellow around, but I see us coming back to a point where we have become so horribly racially divided. And again, when we have these instances, we should be focusing on what the real issue is. We're focusing on, a side issue. After the Orlando terrorist attack, we focus on the gun. After, what happened, between Louisiana and also in Minnesota, we want to focus on the police. The president, going back to when he at Cambridge, Massachusetts, said the police acted stupidly. So there's this theme that has been developed. Even after the shooting here, the president talked about, a gun and not about the ideology and not about what, the individual said. There's no untangling the motive. He said he wanted to kill white people, and especially white cops. So we need to start dealing with these ideological issues and not just dismissing them.
Yeah, as Kevin Williamson wrote National Review Online, after these events, it's always time for another round of pin the tail on anybody but the donkey. People that the actual people in charge in these urban centers and so forth. But Colonel Alan West, the president and CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, guys. And I'll be in Cleveland. I'm just going to be selling popcorn outside.
All right, we'll see you in Cleveland then. Good.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Thanks.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You know who's not on the list is Sarah Palin. I'm surprised. She was a big supporter of Donald Trump's early out in the campaign, and now she's not on the list.
Probably good restraint on his part.
Forecast for today, 75 degrees right now at O'Hare, going up to a high of 85 degrees, but you'll notice it's going to be a lot less humid out there under partly sunny skies. And tomorrow, not as warm. Intervals of clouds and sun, a high of 76. Let's go into the traffic center. Is that mattress? Has it been cleared? Here's Jim Telemonte.
It is, Amy. Thankfully, things have lightened up in both directions on the Bishop Ford Freeway. That mattress near 111th is gone. And inbound, it's just a 5-minute delay from Cottage Grove to the Ryan. It's getting heavier on the tri-state, though, with delays northbound 95th to 87th, Archer to 47th. Very heavy. Then from the Reagan all the way to North Avenue, the other tollways are still fairly light. Edens is 25 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, out on 21. The Kennedy, 32 minutes. So O'Hare to downtown, out on 34. The Ike is a 48-minute drive. Thorndale to downtown, out on 34. Stevenson, 46 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, out on 40. The Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to the Loop. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. We get the Producer Price Index today. Bereavement fares are disappearing altogether, and the latest on the budget deficit. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
The government releases the latest Producer Price Index data this morning. The PPI measures prices received by domestic producers. Also, several Fed officials giving speeches today. The market will be listening for any hints about the direction of interest rates. Once common bereavement fares have just about disappeared. Only Delta Airlines and Alaska Airlines still offer the so-called bereavement fares, and they come with stipulations. There are a number of reasons for the demise of bereavement fares, but the biggest cause may be the growth of low-fare carriers. The federal government recording a small budget surplus in June, but the deficit this year is still running 27% higher than a year ago. The Congressional Budget Office forecasting a $534 billion deficit for the year. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft, guys, when it comes to your health, do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol, but do you know your testosterone number? I know my number. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with the convenience of their on-site lab, You'll know your results within minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. Low T Center services are covered by most health insurance, and they have flexible hours for your convenience. So do yourself a favor and call 630-409-4305. Tell them Dan Prof sent you. That number, 630-409-4305, or go to lowtcenter.com.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Banks have been foreclosing on people's homes at an unprecedented rate. Enough is enough. It's time to fight back and level the playing field. The attorneys of Bridges & O and Associates have an intense understanding of foreclosure law. Experienced attorneys will passionately litigate against and negotiate with your bank for a permanent loan restructuring. They are proud to help educate and protect families, keeping you in your home, reducing your stress, and giving you time to get back on your feet. Don't just sit there and lose your home. They can put you back in control. Get the upper hand when negotiating with your bank with their free evaluation. Then Bridges & O and Associates will develop a plan that will help your family now, 3 months from now, 3 years from now, even 5 years from now. Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense law firm. 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Bridges & O and Associates. You have rights. Don't give up your home.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk to Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson at 7:07.
And later, who should be and who is going to be Donald Trump's vice presidential running mate. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, severe storms hit parts of Chicagoland, knocking down trees, and there's hail damage reported this morning as well. A vigil held to remember Sandra Bland 1 year after her death. CPS budgets will keep last year's cuts, but no teacher layoffs, according to CPS CEO Forrest Claypool. A Lake County jail inmate was found dead in his cell. Governor Rauner signs an executive order designed to help minority companies. WNBA, sparks sink the sky, partly sunny in your forecast and much less humid. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Could it be Newt Gingrich? I'm an outsider. Or maybe Mike Pence.
Donald Trump is going to provide the kind of leadership that America needs.
Those two Republicans are vice presidential finalists. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the big reveal is set for tomorrow. Trump tweeted he's going to announce his running mate at 11 a.m. in Manhattan.
I'm not looking for an attack dog. Frankly, I'm looking for somebody that really understands what we're talking about.
Trump held a series of meetings with finalists yesterday, including with Indiana Governor Mike Pence, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions. Trump met with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie on Tuesday. Dave.
Rachel, Republicans in Cleveland are working out rules for the convention. Some are still trying to find a way to dump Trump. We're learning more of next week's convention speakers.
Tim Tebow, the QB with a long-rumored interest in politics. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor and very early Trump endorser. Michael Flynn, the former Defense Intelligence Agency chief. And Pat Smith, the mother of Benghazi victim Sean Smith. Benghazi is going to be a major part of the program here in Cleveland.
That's Fox's Peter Ducey. Hillary Clinton will campaign in Virginia today with Senator Tim Kaine, who's been mentioned as a possible Democratic vice presidential choice. Ever get angry at that jerk who just cut you off? A lot of us admit to some road rage. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
Survey from AAA says nearly 8 in 10 U.S. drivers admit expressing anger, aggression, or road rage at least once in the last year. The most aggressive drivers on the road? Men aged 19 to 39. It found men are 3 times more likely to have gotten out of a car to confront another driver or ram another vehicle on purpose. And the survey says more than 100 million of us own up to purposely tailgating another vehicle, Dave.
Tanya, President Obama will hold a televised town hall on race relations the day after meeting with cops and community activists. The funerals today for Philando Castile, the black man shot by police in Minnesota, helping to spark big protests nationwide. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sunshine this early morning, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Cleanup underway after storms tear through parts of Chicagoland and through southern Illinois. Strong winds and hail causing damage. Trees are down in the southwest suburbs. ComEd says thousands lost power. The Ameren utility says 185,000 of its Missouri and Illinois customers are without electricity because of fast-moving storms that rolled through the St. Louis area and into southern Illinois with winds at 70 miles an hour. 72,000 of Ameren's customers in Illinois lost service. A gas station clerk is dead, shot on Chicago's south side. Police say the man was arguing with another person early this morning at a Citgo station near 66th and State when the gunshots were fired. The victim died at the scene. There was a candlelight vigil held at Federal Plaza marking the 1-year anniversary of the death of Sandra Bland, a black woman who died at a Texas jail cell after a traffic stop. Bland died a year ago Wednesday after a Texas state trooper pulled her over 3 days earlier. Bland had been moving to Texas from Villa Park. Chicago Public Schools CEO Forrest Claypool telling principals that teacher layoffs are not likely and there will be no further drastic cuts, but they will have to make do with less money as the result of the stopgap state school funding package. Hillary Clinton in Illinois raising money and campaigning on unity, bringing Americans together in Springfield.
There is too much violence and hate in our country. Too little trust and common ground.
Speaking in Springfield yesterday at the same site where Abraham Lincoln delivered his House Divided speech. Chicago sports. Last night in the MLS, it was the fire over Sporting KC 1-0. WNBA, sparks over the sky. And the 145th British Open is now underway at Royal Troon. The news service of Little Caesars, home of the $5 large hot and ready pizza. Or try their large deep dish pizza with 8 crunchy corner slices for just $8 at participating locations plus tax. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It finally feels like summertime in Chicago. The weather is warm, but the news, it's even hotter. So whether this will be the summer of Trump
Hillary is very weak. I think she's pathetic.
or the summer of Hillary,
The Republican nominee should never get near the White House.
one thing's for sure.
We're going to have a very contentious campaign.
The temperature will reach 560.
We need a tough tone in this country, folks.
AM 560.
She can't even handle her emails. How can she be president?
The Answer.
Control, this is QL1. Everything looks good on my end. Prepping for liftoff. Over. One more thing, QL1. What's that, Control? You've been talking a lot about Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans lately. What would you say is the best reason to use it? Well, it's completely online. It's easy to use. You can get approved in minutes. It's convenient. You can share your pay stubs and bank statements at the touch of a button so you get real numbers, not estimates. And hey, QL1, I asked for the best reason. Yeah, go ahead and pick one. Anyone. That's tough. They all sound great. I think you're finally getting it, Control. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
7:05. Well. Nice day at the British Open. Already a hole-in-one today. We'll keep a half an eye on that as we watch the roads this morning in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center with Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Edens, traffic is getting heavy from Devon to the junction. It's 28 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. The Kennedy, 38 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 20 from Montrose, 15 in the Express. Outbound 20 minutes to Montrose, 40 to O'Hare. The Eisenhower is now 57 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 43 from Manheim. Outbound 36 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Clear sailing on I-57, Bishop Ford. It's a 5-minute delay approaching the merge. Northbound Tri-State slow 95th to 87th. Really snarled from Archer to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Reagan Tollway slow from the Fox River Bridge to 59 and 83 to the Tri-State. Northbound 53 has delays. The Adams Tollway to Algonquin, where crash just cleared. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
Partly sunny skies today, breezy and less humid this afternoon with a high of 85. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight, low 65. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a shower in spots, not as warm, high 76. Sunny on Saturday, high 80. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
69 O'Hare, 71 along the lakefront. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Live with Andrew Holmes. Get honest answers to your questions every Sunday at 12 noon.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit. He can explain away anything.
Imagine if he had not just Twitter and cable news to go after his critics and opponents, but also the IRS, or for that matter, our entire military.
It's a binary choice. It is either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You don't get a third option. It's one or the other, and I know where I want to go.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump makes his announcement for vice president tomorrow at 10 o'clock in Manhattan.
Yay!
And it's down to Pence or Gingrich. Seems pretty clear. And Newt had a comparison to a Trump-Gingrich ticket.
Yeah, he said they're just two pirates. It'd be a two-pirate ticket. Arg.
In many ways, Donald Trump is like a pirate. He's outside the normal system. He gets things done. He's bold. He's actually like a figure out of a movie. In a lot of ways, my entire career has been a little bit like a pirate. I've taken on the establishment of both parties. I've been very prepared to fight in the media. One of the really hard questions he's got to weigh on the way to California is, do you really want a two-pirate ticket?
Shiver me timbers, arg. Don't get me started, arg.
Yes, your favorite pirate impressions. We'll take those all morning in support of Newt Gingrich's metaphor.
See, I think since Newt Gingrich, because they just released the list of people speaking at the RNC, since Newt Gingrich is on that list, Governor Chris Christie, I think it's obvious that Governor Mike Pence is the vice presidential pick.
I think he's going to be as well. Interesting also on that list, Marcus Luttrell, lone survivor.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some interesting people on the list. Also,
and Patty Smith, her son died in Benghazi.
Sean Smith's mother.
Excuse me. Yes.
A number of cheeseheads as well. Congressman Sean Duffy.
Mm-hmm.
We got
Governor Scott Walker.
We got a Governor Scott Walker. We got a House Speaker Paul Ryan, and now we got a Wisconsin U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate, and Senator Johnson joins us now. Senator Johnson, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good. And so just want to get your reaction. This seems to be kind of the question of the day, particularly with some of the remarks your colleague, Senator Tim Scott, had to offer yesterday on the state of race relations in America and the conversation that responsible political leaders should be driving, as perhaps compared to the one the president is driving, against the backdrop of this survey that came out in the New York Times yesterday. 70% of Americans believe that race relations are poor at present.
Well, I would say they certainly haven't gotten better over President Obama's term in that's a real tragedy. I mean, I think he had a historic opportunity to further heal the racial divide, and if anything, that the problem's been exacerbated. But, you know, coming from the business world, I mean, this is a completely different process, you know, the political realm. In the business world, you're always looking for areas of agreement. And you sit down and negotiate. You don't start arguing right off the bat. You lay out all the areas of agreement that develops a relationship, a level of trust, so when you finally come to the areas of disagreement, it's a whole lot easier finding common ground. That's not what happens in politics. People exploit divisions for political gain. It doesn't work. You know, this is a moment in time where we have got to find areas of agreement that unify us as a nation. Never, you know, this is probably the most delicate point in history that I've lived in. I lived through the 60s, and obviously at the Vietnam War, you had those protests. You know, Charles Murray wrote a book, Coming Apart. It feels that way. So, you know, responsible political leadership should do everything possible to concentrate on the areas of agreement that unify us. And guys, it's actually pretty easy to do. I'm chairman of Homeland Security. Using that approach, we've passed 83 pieces of legislation on my committee. 26 have been signed into law. There's so many problems. There's so many areas that you can concentrate on to make government a little more efficient, a little more effective, a little more accountable. You really should be able to accomplish an awful lot. And again, that's my manufacturing background too, just looking at root cause analysis, but accept continuous improvement. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good.
Well, Senator Johnson, do you think President Obama is fueling the fire by, you know, calling Philando Castile's family, inviting Sterling's son and mother to come to the White House for a meeting?
He has not taken advantage of the opportunity that history provided him. You know, I really believe he could have gone a long way toward further healing the racial divide. And all I can say is I think matters are worse here in 2016 than they were in 2008.
And this is something that's been adopted by his party writ large. Bill Galston had a good piece in the Wall Street Journal about the Democrat Party's platform and how different it is, frankly, how much further left it's moved from their platform just 4 years ago, President Obama's reelection, that, you know, when it comes to matters of any discussion of respect for Second Amendment rights, that's gone. Any discussion of respect for faith-based institutions, that's gone. And it's been replaced by the kind of rhetoric of the professional agitators, societal transformation, Black Lives Matter. These are phrases that are found in the Democrat platform this year.
No, it's in your face, you know, my way or the highway. And here's a perfect example, immigration reform. President Obama promised when he was a candidate that he was going to fix the immigration system in his first year. Well, he had 2 years where he had a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, totally controlled the House. He did nothing until he lost control, and then he doesn't really work with us because there's plenty of us that want to fix the problem. I think we proved that. But he's just gone about executive amnesty, probably the most divisive thing he could have done. He was warned it's going to poison the well. I have firsthand experience as I became chairman of the committee. I said border security is my top priority. But I said the number one component of my border security bill would be a functioning guest worker program to eliminate the incentive for illegal immigration. You know, basically, people coming here to work, make that a legal process. So there have been so many opportunities. Gun control would be another example. Chuck Grassley's got a great bill clamping down on straw purchases. I offered an amendment that would have actually, I think, had support, not only in the Senate and in the House. We didn't have enough time to debate it, but actually would address the no-fly list and selectee list. I had 31 Republicans. If we just would have had Democrats say yes, they could have gotten a result. But again, they say no, and they've just created, you know, they just maintain that as a wedge issue.
I want to pick up on another domestic issue that you've been quite outspoken about over the last several years, and that's Obamacare. President Obama resuscitating the idea of a public option as Obamacare co-ops are flailing. Just this week, we had one in Illinois announce they're closing their doors, and 49,000 Illinoisans are going to lose health insurance as a result. I don't know what the experience is locally in Wisconsin, but we know what's happening nationally, and so I wonder if you'd comment on frankly, what a lot of people said would come to fruition, government takeover of healthcare coming to fruition. At least that's the desire of the president.
Well, let's face it, we always knew that the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act was not going to live up to its name. I mean, millions of Americans, thousands of Wisconsinites lost their health care they could afford that they liked, lost access to doctors. Families' insurance, annual insurance, didn't go down by $2,500. Janice Fenneman from Spooner, Wisconsin, prior to Obamacare, was paying $276 per month for her premiums. Now she's paying $787 per month. So it was a massive consumer fraud, but it was always designed to lead to a single-payer system, and they're trying to take that next step now. But hopefully America is paying attention, because we now know what a single-payer, government-run, bureaucratic healthcare system looks like. It's called the VA healthcare system. It hasn't worked very well. I don't think the rest of America wants to put up with the long wait lines, in many cases, care that is not particularly first class. So, no, I mean, we know that was always their whole design of Obamacare. It was just a stepping stone to a complete government takeover of the healthcare system. And I just ask Americans, do you really want a healthcare system that behaves like the Department of Motor Vehicles? I mean, what government bureaucracy are you satisfied with? People are so upset and frustrated with government. Why would you want to keep growing it? It makes no sense to me.
And so those Illinoisans who got dropped the $49,000, they have to find different insurance coverage, I guess. And then hopefully when Donald Trump becomes president, he'll address Obamacare immediately and abolish it, correct?
Yeah, where's the outrage in the press when, for example, I had a couple call us up right as Obamacare is being implemented. She had stage 4 lung cancer. He had prostate cancer. They lost their health care. They lost it. It went out of existence. They tried almost 40 times to get to log on to healthcare.gov. Couldn't log on. I mean, they're in a panic. The last thing you need when you're suffering from cancer is the stress of understanding that you don't have health care anymore. That's the reality of Obamacare.
We're talking to Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator Johnson, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate. We're focusing on domestic security, police forces right now, but probably shouldn't take our eye off what's happening with ISIS. There was a bizarre story earlier this week about ISIS staging a sort of jihad Olympics. It was Leni Riefenstahl-like propaganda about, kids and participating in sports and people cheering them on. And this against the backdrop of CIA Director John Brennan saying just a couple of weeks ago that we have not negatively impacted ISIS's ability to conduct terrorist activity globally. Where does that fight stand? What else should we be doing that we're not to, frankly, better decimate ISIS?
Well, remember, President Obama laid out America's goal toward ISIS in September 2014, 22 months ago. He says to degrade and defeat it. Now, it took us about 4 years to defeat Nazi Germany. We're about halfway there. The analogy I'm using is, let's say you have a hive of killer bees in your backyard. I mean, what should you do with that if you don't want your kids getting stung? You take out the hive. You kill the bees, right? No, what we're doing, in effect, is we're going out to that hive and we're poking it with a stick, doing some damage with the hive, but we're just stirring up the bees. They are exiting the hive. They're setting up hives elsewhere. So ISIS has been able to remain in place now for 22 months. They are training children to behead their victims. Okay, they are. We talked about lone wolves. We talked about inspired terrorist attacks. Well, now we're talking about wolf packs blowing up airports directed by ISIS. There are news reports now talking about how this has always been ISIS's long-term goal, is to establish basically affiliates and start basically directing terror attacks around the world, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in across the globe, and so they've actually become more dangerous. They've metastasized. They're evolving, and we have not reduced their terrorist capability or their global reach.
All right, he is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee in the Senate. Senator Johnson, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, the latest on Target in those dressing rooms. Everybody can come on in and try on those clothes. But first, here's your forecast. Partly sunny today. It's a lot less humid. You'll understand once you walk outside. A high of 85 degrees. Tonight it'll be clear, and tomorrow not as warm. Mostly sunny skies and a high of 76 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Any sticky situations? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, Amy, your inbound Kennedy is getting heavier with delays starting at Canfield. It's now 40 minutes, so here to downtown. Outbound 52 minutes. It's gummed up from Armitage to Harlem. Eden's 28 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 30. The Eisenhower's now 1 hour from Thorndale to downtown, outbound 43 minutes. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38. Ryan, 35 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Northbound Tri-State, slow from 95th to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, Reagan Tollway delays from the Fox River to 59 and 83 to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial, 63rd to the Reagan Tollway, and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I know many of our listeners own or manage their own companies, and your entire business depends on your phones. So if your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it means lost revenue. And so can an outdated phone system. The solution is the company that AM560 uses, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. AM560 appreciates how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. AM560 is thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-889-9090. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, the number 312-888-9090, or visit go4inet.com.
No matter what type of business you're in, having a strong business banking partnership can help your bottom line. I'm Jeff Boundy, president of Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company. We strongly believe that trust, service, and relationship are the cornerstone of a successful business banking partnership.
Customers like Robert Weissite of Robert C. Weissite Company agree.
I appreciate the depth of experience my Cornerstone banker brings to the table. Last June, we located a building we wanted to buy for expansion. My Cornerstone banker walked me through everything I could expect to face in advance, from the letter of intent all the way through the day of closing. It went very smooth and predictably and with low stress. He had been through this type of transaction many times, and his years of experience helped me make my purchasing experience predictable, efficient, and successful.
Thanks, Bob. Please visit cornerstonenb.com, or I invite you to give me a call at 847-654-3000 to explore a business banking partnership.
Equal Opportunity Lender, member FDIC.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, S-A-U-L.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
Active lifestyles demand that the food you eat have a purpose, but that doesn't mean you can't indulge in your favorite foods. With Muscle Mac macaroni and cheese, you can finally eat the macaroni and cheese you love and still maintain a healthy diet. With GMO-free pasta and real cheese, with no synthetic dyes, colors, or artificial flavors. Muscle Mac's creamy, cheesy sauce blankets the high-protein pasta for a burst of flavor in every bite. Muscle Mac delivers 20 grams of protein in every delicious serving. Fortified with added vegetable and dairy proteins, it's an affordable and healthy alternative to animal proteins. Just one serving of Muscle Mac mac and cheese provides 40% of your recommended daily protein intake and can be a great addition to a balanced diet. This isn't any ordinary macaroni and cheese. Muscle Mac is made with more real cheese than any other brand. It's a yummy and satisfying meal for your whole family after a full day of activities or anytime you crave the comfort of a delicious bowl of mac and cheese. Available now at Jewel Osco and Pete's Fresh Market throughout Chicagoland.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes way down, and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so updating this cultural story, more of the ridicule that people are subjected to by the D.C. Press Corps and their water carriers and handmaidens, and vice versa. It kind of goes both directions. But, the idea that women should go to the women's restroom and to the men's restroom, and that you should figure that out based on your XX or XY composition. And the same thing with dressing rooms. So Target made a big splash and took a big financial hit by suggesting anything goes at their places of business. And people suggested, well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to put women in jeopardy. And this story from Idaho. Idaho police arrested a man who identifies as a transgender woman on one count of felony voyeurism Tuesday after he took pictures of a woman while she was changing clothes in a Target dressing room. Sheriff's deputies arrested 43-year-old Sean Patrick Smith, who reportedly identifies as Shauna Patricia Smith. You see what he did there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just added
The day after he was spotted reaching over the changing room wall with a cell phone, taking pictures of a woman who was trying on clothes.
What a pervert.
The victim confronted Smith, who then ran out of the store, and they brought him into custody for that.
Call me a traditionalist, but I do not like sharing the dressing room with any men I don't know. I haven't been back to Target since I went one time, and that's it.
And this doesn't matter because why are we talking about bathrooms, or why are we talking about a Duke-Albany basketball game, which I'll get to in a minute? Because it all goes to culture. It all goes to culture, and culture drives the law and drives attitudes and has material impact. Do you think the culture with respect for human life, with regard to respect for the law, has anything to do with the attitude of some towards law enforcement, towards police officers? Do you think they're connected? They're connected. And so you don't want to talk about cultural issues, then prepare to give your free society away to the barbarians. As Julius Caesar said in Spartacus, Rome is the mob. And if you want America to be the mob, then keep ignoring these issues or pretending they don't matter, have no impact. They do. And to that Albany Duke basketball game that was scheduled November 12th in...
What is this, women or men's basketball? Don't you dare roll your eyes at me.
I'm rolling my eyes because there's no such thing as women in men's basketball. It's just basketball.
Okay, so which game is scheduled?
Right.
Is it on the men's schedule or the women's schedule?
This is for the team that's coached by Mike Krzyzewski.
Okay.
Yeah. The Duke was supposed to play Albany on November 12th as part of the Hall of Fame tip-off tournament.
Yeah, what's going on?
This in North Carolina.
Oh, no.
Governor Cuomo, one of the sentimental barbarians in the governor's mansion in this country, you remember he issued an executive order banning public-funded non-essential travel to North Carolina because of their bathroom law.
Similar to what Mayor Emanuel did here.
So now Albany University men's basketball team can't travel to North Carolina to play Duke because of Andrew Cuomo's executive order.
They're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because they get some money at the door. The away school, that's why they want to play bigger schools, because they get to take home a piece of the pie. Is he going to foot that bill? Make up for lost revenue for that game? Cuomo?
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Hey, ChicagoRadioDeals.com can help you spiff up your home and auto, wash away the road grime and dirt, and get a great deal from Fuller's Car Wash of Elk Grove Village. A full-service car wash includes wash, vacuum, windows, dash wipe down, $18 for just $10 at CRD. Hey, give your home the clean it needs with an excellent deal from the Grout Medic of LaGrange. Grout Medic offers a shower touch-up that includes a steam clean of your shower tile and grout, or choose a clean and color seal floor package for your kitchen or bathroom. Each deal $110. That's a $250 value. And shop at a great local hardware store with personal customer service. Purchase the Addison Building Materials $100 gift certificate for only $50. Addison Building Materials is a true value retailer. So tackle your home improvement projects with help from our friends at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
For which potential vice presidential candidate will Donald Trump raise the Jolly Roger at 7:37?
And what man walks out on his country and walks out on his cat? But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
71 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump announces his choice for vice president tomorrow, a short list that includes former Speaker Newt Gingrich and two governors, Chris Christie and Mike Pence.
Ultimately, this is a decision that our nominee will make, and I'm confident that he'll make a great decision.
Trump's announcement expected at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Funeral services will be held today for Philando Castile, the Minnesota man whose police shooting death sparked protests around the country. Meantime, 3 of the 5 police officers killed in last week's Dallas police murders are being remembered at a funeral yesterday. The widow of Dallas area rapid transit officer Brent Thompson called him a phenomenal guy.
Brent was there for whoever needed him, whenever they needed him. Didn't matter who it was or what they needed him for.
People also paid their respects to Dallas Police Senior Corporal Lauren Aarons, and a private mass was held for Sergeant Michael Smith. President Obama participates in a town hall-style meeting today centered on race relations. Cleanup underway after severe thunderstorms struck parts of Chicagoland. Comment says thousands remain without power. A gas station clerk dead after being shot on Chicago's south side. Manager of a Citgo station at 66th and State, where the gunshots were fired. The All-Star break continues for our Chicago baseball teams. Major League Soccer was the fire over Sporting KC 1-0. The news, a service of Craftsman and Ace Hardware. Select Craftsman Extreme Grip tools are on sale all month this July at your neighborhood Ace. Like screwdrivers with diamond-coated tips and sockets with serrated jaws. Offer valid July 1st to 31st on select Craftsman Extreme Grip tools at participating locations and acehardware.com. See store for details. 7:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I wish every Republican voter understood what's going on right now.
The Joe Walsh Show.
My God, Trump raised about as much as somebody running for the school board would raise in the month of May. Why? Because the Republican Party donors will not give him money. Why? Because they want him to lose.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Death by 1,000 cuts. That's what's going on with Trump right now.
Here Maps. Hit the open road with free offline turn-by-turn guidance that works anywhere. Get it for your phone at here.com/offline.
If you're looking to improve your child's academic education and attitude toward life, Christian Liberty Academy, based in Arlington Heights, has provided thousands of children in preschool through 12th grade with a superior, accredited, and affordable Christian education since 1968. The Academy offers a spacious and well-equipped campus, dynamic math and computer classes, art and music instruction, as well as comprehensive sports programs and after-school care services. The teaching staff at Christian Liberty is comprised of people who take a genuine and personal interest in each of their students and make it a point to give them the individualized attention that they need. Call the Academy at 847-385-2013 to schedule a tour or visit ChristianLibertyAcademy.com. That's ChristianLibertyAcademy.com. Don't let another week go by before you get serious about finding the proper school environment for each of your children. The summer is slipping away and registrations are filling up fast in many grades. So contact Christian Liberty Academy today and give your children a great foundation for learning and for life.
This is Pete. I've had 3 missing teeth and have been thinking for a while about getting something done to get them replaced. I went to Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics to see what they could do, and I'm glad that I did that. The staff there was fantastic. Dr. Neruzzi made sure I was comfortable during the entire process, always checking to make sure there was no pain. All my visits were very pleasant, and I'm glad I had it done. Another piece that made it fantastic was they worked with me on the payment. As all of us know, these are not inexpensive items to do, so they worked with me on the payment options as well as with my insurance carrier to help minimize my out-of-pocket cost. I feel so much better now that I've had my teeth and my dental implants put in. I feel more confident as I'm walking around. For those of you out there that are missing teeth and thinking about doing this, I would recommend you see Dr. Neruzzi and his staff. They're great, and I would highly recommend them going forward.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
For missing teeth, dental implants are wonderful. The advantages are fantastic. Just remember, implantsforme.com. Implantsforme.com.
7:37, Guardian Security Services Traffic Center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Edens runs 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 30. The Kennedy 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 52. The Eisenhower's 1 hour from Thorndale to the post office outbound 43 minutes. Stevenson 45 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive outbound 38. Ryan 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State. Delays are from 95th to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Northbound Veterans Memorial, it's stop and go from the Boughton Toll to the Reagan Tollway, and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. Traffic is a service of Little Caesars, home of a large $5 hot and ready pizza. Or try their large, deep dish pizza with 8 crunchy corner slices for just $8 at participating locations plus tax. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Partly sunny, breezy, less humid this afternoon. High 85. 69 at O'Hare, 71 along the lake. Next news at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, what is up? Well, one thing that's up tomorrow at 10 a.m., Trump announces his vice presidential running mate. And speculation running rampant that it's going to be Mike Pence, largely because I said it was going to be Mike Pence 4 weeks ago.
And also backed up by the fact that they released the name of speakers who are going to be at the RNC, and Governor Mike Pence's name is not on that list. But Governor Chris Christie's name is, Newt Gingrich's name on the list. So why be the holdout?
If it's Gingrich or Pence, as it seems pretty clear it is, that's come down to those two, who do you like, Gingrich or Pence? Who provides the most value? Who would you like to see run with Trump? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. We could also speculate about Hillary's running mate, which still seems to be Tim Kaine as a safe choice.
They announced somebody else yesterday.
I heard a strange one. This would be odd. Former Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack.
Yeah, Tom Vilsack. He's now the Agriculture Secretary, isn't he?
Yeah, that would be a
Well, she needs Iowa,
pick.
And she needs Pennsylvania and Ohio, of course. But I wouldn't rule out Chris Christie because this is Donald Trump last night on with Brett Baer.
I tell you, Chris Christie is somebody I've liked a long time. He's a total professional. He's a good guy, by the way. A lot of people don't understand that, but I'm narrowing it down. I mean, I'm at 3, potentially 4, but in my own mind, I probably am thinking about 2.
So I'm at 3, potentially 4, but I'm at 2.
This is what Donald Trump does. He creates suspense. I mean, it's all part of the reality TV show feeling, and he's so good at that. Making people guess, keeping it alive, keeping the buzz going in the media.
All right, so
free advertisement.
If you want to play out that theory, who
Yes.
else is not on the speaker list?
Who?
Bobby Knight.
Oh, yeah. Also, Sarah Palin's not on the list.
Bobby Knight's supposed to be at the convention.
Yeah,
Not on the list.
You're right.
Trump, Bobby Knight.
I don't know. Or Newt Gingrich, said that he's a pirate. Donald Trump's a pirate. You can't play this enough because you can't have enough pirate things. Walk the plank.
In many ways, Donald Trump is like a pirate. He's outside the normal system. He gets things done. He's bold. He's actually like a figure out of a movie. In a lot of ways, my entire career has been a little bit like a pirate. I've taken on the establishment of both parties. I've been very prepared to fight in the media. One of the really hard questions he's got to weigh on the way to California is, do you really want a 2-pirate ticket?
I never thought about the question in quite those terms. Yeah.
Hey, grab me my sword.
I think. Did you do the voice of the pirate on the Simpsons with the 2 wooden legs, the 2 wooden peg legs?
Peg, where's my?
So here's my on the pirate thing.
Yes.
I think you're misinterpreting it.
I am.
I think he's I think he's talking about like the '79 Pittsburgh Pirates with the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's saying like he's Donald Trump is the Willie Stargell to Newt's Dave Parker.
See, there you go. You and your baseball knowledge.
Yeah.
Your love for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Your love for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know a great story about Dave Parker.
Tell me.
He used to wear a Sister Sledge. Yeah.
Pirates with me.
That'd be fun. That would get the convention floor rocking.
Yeah. Sister Sledge?
Yeah.
Sing it, Dan. I'm looking up pirate phrases while you sing. Shiver me timbers already did.
I was more of a Roberta Flack fan, if we're going to be real honest about it. It's not. I didn't dislike Sister Sledge. It's hard to top that voice of Roberta Flack. Ooh. So anyway, back to the purpose. Oh, my Dave Parker story.
Yes, Dave Parker.
Dave Parker, all-star baseball player, great baseball player.
What position was he in?
First base outfield.
Okay, fine.
He used to wear a Star of David chain, like a chain with a Star of David on it. And somebody asked him, "Are you Jewish?" And he said, "No." So, well, why are you wearing a Star of David chain? Because I'm a star named David. Hi-oh.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Just a fun little Dave Parker story.
That's awesome.
All right, Pence or Gingrich?
Oh no! What about Jeff Sessions? Because he flew for some reason to Indianapolis yesterday as well to meet with Donald Trump.
Sessions is part of the inner circle, but he's not going to be the VP. Here's Krauthammer making the case for Newt versus Pence.
I have to say,
that's not him.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. He's not going to help. He's not going to hurt. It'll be a Trump campaign, and nobody will remember the name of Pence 2 weeks into the campaign. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit, not so much because he doubles down, but because he is the most, if you like, either articulate or glib. You can have it either way. But he has such facility with language. He can explain away anything. He can explain anything, and he can explain away anything. After all, last time around, he ran on a campaign that included a moon base, which was an interesting idea, but not easy to sell. So you can anticipate that Trump will run into problems here and there, as he obviously has over the last year. And the guy you'd want to be the first to explain it away would be Newt, because I think he'd be very successful at it.
Yeah, Krauthammer makes a strong point about Newt, and I'm thinking about now Newt speaking over Roberta Flack singing "Killing Me Softly." But he makes a good point about Newt being very facile, very quick on his feet, extremely knowledgeable. He will decimate in debates whoever Hillary chooses as her running mate. But that doesn't come without baggage, both kind of just in terms of image as well as in terms of personal history and to some extent political history. But he has a lot of political history with the Clintons, and he likes to tee off on them. So he would fit the bill in that respect.
And he would be amazing in a vice presidential debate. But the thing is Newt Gingrich likable? I don't think so. But you know what? He's trustworthy. I didn't really like Dick Cheney, but I trusted him.
Well,
when it came to national security matters. And if something happened to Bush, I would trust him to move in.
Well, I mean, Krauthammer made reference to the moon-based stuff from the 2012 campaign, and Josh Kraushaar writes in the National Journal in agreement with Krauthammer's ultimate analysis that Gingrich is a better fit. But he also says if he rambles on about futurism instead of staying on message, he would risk being dismissed as a flake. And Gingrich does have that tendency. Well, let's get some other opinions in on this. How about Nick in Barrington? You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah. I don't think that Pence would be a good choice. He'll fold under any kind of pressure. You saw that a few weeks back when there was that issue about, I forgot if it was the transgender or something with regards to gay rights or something.
Yeah, it was right. The pizza places.
Yeah,
right.
he just folded like a card table. So I don't think that he'd be a good choice. This is going to be the nastiest election in history, and you need someone that's a fighter and has a backbone. I'm not crazy about Gingrich, but he'll take anybody on.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Nick. Although, I mean, Pence's record in Congress and as governor generally has been pretty good, an extension of Mitch Daniels as governor of Indiana. I agree that he didn't handle that matter with the pizza place in Indiana particularly well. But I wouldn't say that I wouldn't necessarily say that means he's going to fold on every issue. And here's the thing that Pence brings. He doesn't bring the same attributes that Gingrich does, but he brings the support of kind of the
establishment Republicans, right? And the conservative wing of the Republican Party.
Yeah, I mean,
he's an evangelical.
I think he could be a unifying figure with respect to the base of the Republican Party. And remember, Trump's effective strategy, both of their effective strategies, base plus. So you want as unified a base as possible. Hillary's got challenges to do, but so does Donald. Mark in Plainfield.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I would go Gingrich. The main reason is that it'll make it that much more difficult for Hillary to try to claim responsibility for the so-called peace and prosperity of the 90s. As for Hillary's running mate, I hope she does take Tim Kaine. Then we her ticket would be called Kaine and Unable.
That's good.
Thanks, Mark. Steve and Wayne.
Good morning, both of you. And what I want to say is, even though I voted for Chris Christie in your contest, I'm going to say Pence because Christie and Gingrich both have fairly high negatives, as does Donald Trump. And I think you need Pence on there to kind of even that out and get somebody on there with some positives as opposed to negatives.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Todd in Chesterton, Indiana.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the part about Pence bringing the balance, but my concern is just like with the religious act that he signed, and then a week later the NCAA basketball and Angie's List getting to revolt on it. I mean, he has no backbone.
Yeah, I know that's yeah. Thanks for the call, Todd. I know that was not Pence's finest moment. There's no question about it. Jim in Carpentersville.
Yeah, how you doing? My suggestion would have Newt as chief of staff for the president. It gives him a lot more latitude. He can run between both houses, and also he can still keep the attack dog type of thing going for him.
Okay, thanks for the call, Jim. Will in Skokie.
Yeah, I think that Gingrich would be great as a vice presidential candidate, but Pence would be great as a vice president. There's also talk that once Trump gets elected, he might abdicate, and Pence then would step right in.
That guy with that size ego, that's
Thanks for the call. Sorry, Will, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, all this, like, Trump is going to leave before the election. He's going to leave right after he gets elected. the conspiracy theories around Trump, I mean, I know he's a live wire, but
he's not going anywhere. He's in it to win it.
It's just silly. Come on. Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. I think Pence would be a good running mate from a vice president standpoint. I've heard him speak live, though. He's not quick on his feet. So here's the future theme woven in from the Newt message. Why don't we do a Vulcan mind meld and have Pence campaign but channel Newt Gingrich?
Yes, thanks for the call, Ralph. I don't know how you pull that off, but interesting. Robert in Northbrook.
Yeah, I would say Newt Gingrich because I think he has the ability. He's a consummate politician, and I don't always agree with him, but I think he has the ability to frame Trump's campaign in a rational way. He can take the most ridiculous thing in the world, like a moon base or a Mars base or whatever he wanted to do, and make it seem like a legitimate, normal idea. And I think that's what Trump needs, somebody to take these, far out things he comes up with, and in most people's opinion, they're pretty far out, and make them say, well, that's not such a bad idea. It's a legitimate thing to do.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Robert. Yeah, he's persuasive, and he's also the other thing, don't forget, Newt Gingrich is a pretty shrewd political tactician. Sometimes his appetites and ego get the best of him, but I mean, the contract with America and the engineering the revolution in '94, he gets a lot of credit for that, deservedly so. Sean in Elmwood Park.
Well, Newt's absolutely brilliant. There's no question about it. But he can only go wrong with Pence. The one thing I can't stand, it's the Rodney Dangerfield. When you're built like a bell-bottom old woman, you hang with people who are worse. It diverts you. And then you take Obama's strategy and you put in Christie. Because no matter how bad you are, you could always say, well, I'm not as bad as Chubby over here. But my question with Newt Gingrich is very simple. How are all of you, son? I hear I'm an outsider. You're an outsider. You've been in Washington for so long. You were so ingrained in it, they threw you out themselves. The true establishment of the establishment threw you out. It was after the wife was sick and he gave her the walking papers on the bed and married the one that doesn't talk much with the leather bustier. They threw him out of Washington, and all of a sudden he's an outsider. It's like polyester. It's so out, it's back in again. I'm sick of all of it.
Thanks, Sean.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
I've always wanted to mess up Mrs. Gingrich's hair, by the way, that perfect helmet head.
Yeah, you just stay away from Felicity.
Okay,
You're gonna get
fine.
hurt.
She's busy writing children's books, which we own, by the way. Today, partly sunny skies, a lot less humid, a high of 86 degrees. Tonight, clear. And tomorrow, which I do believe is Friday. Yes, it is. Not as warm. We're going to have mostly sunny skies and a high only in the mid-70s. Let's get those travel times. Any mattresses or MyPillows on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
No, right now it's actually not too bad, Amy. Kind of the routine stuff wherever you look around. Inbound Kennedy delays start at Sayre. It's 45 minutes, so here to downtown, so it could be a lot worse. The express lanes are heavier. The Ohio feeder is really jammed. But outbound's brutal. Crash reported at Cumberland. Delays start at North Avenue. 31 minutes to Montrose, but an hour and 10 minutes downtown to the airport. Eden's 27 minutes. Lake Hook to the junction. Outbound 30. The Eisenhower. An hour and 7 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 52 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 48 to Manheim. An hour 5 to Thorndale. Stevenson is 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, stop and go Washington to Eau Plaine. Northbound slow Southwest Highway to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway very slow, Highland to 83 after a crash. The Veterans Memorial is bottled up, out into the Reagan Tollway and North Avenue to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, there's a great reason why nearly every AM 560 host endorses this product, MyPillow, because it's the best. Even the National Sleep Foundation agrees that Made in America, MyPillow, is in a class by itself because they made it their official pillow. Now, if you still haven't bought one, you should. You'll sleep better, you'll feel better, and it's good for your health. It's washable to remove that dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites. Yes, that's why your pillow is so heavy. That can cause allergies, acne, and asthma. You really deserve a washable MyPillow. It comes with a 10-year warranty, and it's an excellent health investment. So visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Be sure to use the promo code Amy so I can get some credit, and you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. So give one as a gift, keep the other for yourself, or just use both. But do it now. 800-489-0201 or online at mypillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Do you want your kids to be forced to learn about creationism in school or environmentalism? That the Founding Fathers were really villains? Whole language instead of phonics? The new fuzzy math? No. So why on earth are we giving the government a monopoly on what we teach our kids? We get wary when we see the government taking control of our healthcare choices. But what about the government controlling our values and ideals in public schools? Individuals should be free to choose a school that best represents their convictions, ideas, and values. For more on the crucial need for freedom in education, visit ariradio.com. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm your Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Got to read this Facebook post. If Newt is the VP selection, they're going to build a lunar base and make Mars pay for it. That's pretty good. What's your caliber? Black Rhino Concealment knows many AM 560 listeners carry or plan to and want the best holsters. For concealed carry, range practice, or competitive shooting, Black Rhinos are comfortable and safe. Every holster is handcrafted by veterans of 100% virgin Kydex with American-made fasteners. From precision fit and finish to secure retention and quick draw, a Black Rhino is the finest holster at a modest price. Backed by a lifetime material warranty and workmanship guarantee, Black Rhino has tactical carrier and concealed carry systems for every caliber. You and your firearm deserve a Black Rhino. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms, and Black Rhino protects those arms. Black Rhino Concealment, we hold your caliber against you. Visit blackrhinoconcealment.com or call 847-783-6499 for showroom info. Use the promo code AM560 for a 10% discount on your first order. That number, 847-783-6499.
You've heard it. Illinois has the highest taxes in the nation. If you own a home, your mortgage payment is going up. Taxes, homeowners insurance are all increasing. This is Barbara Walters, president of Ameritrust. Think about this.
If your mortgage rate is 3.25% or above,
let's lower your mortgage payment. Anne refinanced and saved $649 per month on her mortgage payment. Alice refinanced and she saved $530 per month. And another couple saved $475 per month. No matter what, your mortgage payment is going to increase. Make the call, find out what your savings can be.
Ameritrust Mortgage. Call 815-459-7303, 815-459-7303, or go to am560myhome.com. Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720, NMLS number 217229.
Craig and Leslie Bolanos here. At Wealth Management Group, we take a full planning approach to your future, so you'll always know where you're headed. It all comes down to this. People are afraid of running out of money or losing money, so we put your plan together with a purpose. The markets will always be a little unpredictable, but how you ride out the highs and lows will make all the difference.
Don't venture out alone. Take a partner. Get to know us at investwithwmg.com and listen to us on In the Know Sunday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is there a war on cops? Heather McDonald thinks so. She wrote a book about it. We're going to talk to her at 8:08.
And later, David goes, but Larry stays. We'll explain. But here, into the newsroom we go is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, severe storms hit parts of Chicagoland overnight. There is a vigil to remember Sandra Bland. And CPS says budgets will keep last year's cuts. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Could Newt Gingrich be Donald Trump's first matey?
In a lot of ways, my entire career has been a little bit like a pirate.
He says he's taken on party establishment and the media, just like Trump.
Do you really want a two-pirate ticket?
Trump's still mulling that over. Also considering Mike Pence, Jeff Sessions, maybe Chris Christie. He'll make his vice presidential pick tomorrow, as Republicans are working on the rules for next week's convention. Fox's Jared Halpern live in Cleveland.
Delegates here who do not want Donald Trump to be the party's nominee are making one last stand, expected to push for a rule change that would allow delegates to vote their conscience instead of following caucus and primary results. Getting a majority of the 112-member Rules Committee to go along with that is not expected. It does not have the backing of RNC leadership. But if just 28 Rules Committee members can agree, they would be able to draft what's called a minority report and force a vote on the full convention on Monday, where it would take a majority, 1,237 delegates, to change the nominating rules and potentially spark a contested floor fight. Dave.
Jared, Hillary Clinton will be campaigning in Virginia. A new Fox poll gives the Democrat a 7-point lead in that state and a 10-point edge on Trump in Colorado. Philando Castile's funeral is today. The black man shot by police in Minnesota, his killing, and Alton Sterling's in Louisiana led to nationwide protests. In one of them, 5 police officers were murdered in Dallas. The race issue was front and center in the ESPYs on ESPN. NBA star Dwayne Wade said,
"The racial profiling has to stop. The shoot-to-kill mentality has to stop. Not seeing the value of black and brown bodies has to stop. But also the retaliation has to stop."
President Obama will hold a televised town hall today on race relations. Closing arguments today in the 4th trial of Freddie Gray's much protested death in Baltimore. 2 other officers were acquitted, 1 had a mistrial. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Mostly cloudy, 71 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Cleanup underway after storms, strong winds, hail, heavy rain swept through Chicagoland into the evening hours and overnight. Southwest suburbs had some downed trees and some collapsed buildings. ComEd says thousands lost power. A gas station clerk is dead after he was shot on Chicago's south side. The man was arguing with another person early this morning at a gas station near 66th and State when gunshots were fired. The victim, according to police, died at the scene. Chicago Public Schools CEO Forrest Claypool telling principals yesterday teacher layoffs are not likely and there will be no more drastic cutting, but principals will have to make do with less money as the result of the stopgap state school funding package approved in Springfield. An investigation is underway after a Lake County jail inmate was found dead in his cell. Jonathan Velasquez was discovered yesterday with a strap wrapped around his neck. Velasquez was initially sent to jail last month on a criminal sexual assault charge. He was later accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill a witness in that case. Folks may hear a lot of loud noises and see a lot of bodies around Wrigley Field today. Chicago authorities holding an emergency drill at the ballpark, mimicking an active shooter situation. Streets will be closed around the stadium until this afternoon. Major League Soccer last night, they outlasted the rain and Sporting KC, a 1-0 win for the Fire over Kansas City. 8:03, the news service of ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. It's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network. A service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, the Bank of England has decided not to lower interest rates. It was widely believed the bank would trim rates because the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union could cause the UK to slip into recession. JP Morgan Chase reported stronger earnings, plus an increase in its trading business, which had been declining. The bank's CEO, Jamie Dimon, revealed this week he will be raising the company's minimum wage over the next 3 years. Delta Airlines reported higher earnings in its recent quarter. Consumer Reports is urging Tesla Motors to disable its automatic steering function in its autopilot system after a fatal collision in Florida. Consumer Reports says Tesla should require drivers to keep their hands on the wheel and stop referring to the system as autopilot. The Dow closed up 24 yesterday in record territory, and futures are sharply higher this morning. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
It's 8:05, time to check the climate of your business with AirComfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
People are going to look back at credit cards like they look at cigarettes.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
When I was a kid, everybody smoked. All my parents smoked. Everybody on the street smoked. Everybody thought smoking was cool. All the magazine ads had somebody with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. And now people figured out not only does it stink, it causes cancer, and people die from it. And so it's become this thing that nobody wants to do, right? And so that's where the credit card's going to be in 20 years. People are going to look back and just look at how stupid it was financially.
Dave Ramsey, weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Here's an idea. Instead of waiting for your boss to give you a raise, give yourself one by refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans. You could add hundreds of dollars each month to your bottom line, like a boss. Call 800-QUICKEN today or visit us online at QuickenLoans.com. A Quicken Loans refinance gives you the financial power to enhance your life and pursue your passion. Our passion is client service. Here's the proof. For 6 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN and buy in. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power. Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
It's 8:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Let's get the latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is stop and go from Sayre to the Burns Circle. It's 45 minutes O'Hare to downtown, but outbound it's an hour and 10 minutes. It's a crash at Cumberland on the right shoulder. Edens is 21 minutes Lake Cook to the junction. Outbound 33 to Eisenhower. An hour and 8 minutes Thorndale to downtown. 52 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 48 to Manheim. An hour 5 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 42 to Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy Washington to 137, northbound Southwest Highway to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow Beverly to Roselle and Bussey to Lee. Reagan Tollway from the Fox River to 59 and very slow Highland to 83, and Roosevelt to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial. Stop and go Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and North Avenue to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
Partly sunny today, breezy and less humid this afternoon, high 85. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight, low 65. Partial sunshine tomorrow with a shower in spots, not as warm, high 76. Sunny on Saturday, high 80. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we have a 72 at O'Hare. And your next news update coming up at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by
Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With Pence, I think it's completely safe, but it doesn't move the needle either way. I think Gingrich is the one who I think would be the best fit. He can explain away anything.
Imagine if he had not just Twitter and cable news to go after his critics and opponents, but also the IRS, or for that matter, our entire military.
It's a binary choice. It is either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You don't get a third option. It's one or the other, and I know where I want to go.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Is there a war on cops? Heather McDonald wrote a book. Heather McDonald, a scholar at the Manhattan Institute who's written on a range of public policy issues, wrote a book, The War on Cops, that is out now, and that is really being the book, it really is the book that is most talked about in connection with this larger discussion nationally, frankly, even internationally, about police and race relations in this country. It was Benjamin Disraeli who referred to lies, damn lies, and statistics. So we're pleased to have Heather McDonald on to go over some of the stats that are being bandied about and put them into context. Heather McDonald, scholar at the Manhattan Institute, author of the book, The War on Cops, joins us now. Heather, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Before we go to the war on cops and answering that question, I want to kind of flip the script and go to some of the statistics that are being bandied about that suggest the cops are waging war against minorities, particularly black people. So one of the things that is suggested is that the incident of arrest, of stop, of unarmed persons being killed by police is disproportionately high among African Americans as compared with whites or even Latinos.
Well, Dan, the relevant comparison is crime rates, not population ratios. As far as shootings, recent studies have shown that police are actually less likely to shoot unarmed black suspects than unarmed white suspects, and take longer to decide to shoot an armed black suspect than an armed white suspect. So the shooting issue should be really definitively put aside, because it is the exact opposite of what we've been hearing from Black Lives Matter activists. But Obama, both before and to my utter disgust after Dallas, has raised this disproportionate stop and arrest issue and implying that the cops are bigoted. That is simply not the case. He said that blacks are arrested at twice the rate of whites. Well, the relevant comparison, as I say, is crime rates. In Chicago, for example, though blacks and whites are equally about a third of the population, blacks commit 80% of all shootings and about 85% of all robberies. Whites commit less than 1% of all shootings. So we shouldn't be surprised that there's a higher arrest rate among blacks than among whites. Nationally, blacks commit homicide at 8 times the rate of whites and Hispanics combined. If you remove Hispanics from that comparison, Dan, you find that blacks commit homicide at 11 to 12 times the rate of whites. So the police are not going on the basis of race. They're going where people are being victimized. And as you well know, in Chicago, that's on the south and west sides, the far south sides. There's been 2,090 people shot in Chicago as of July 9th. The police shot 9 people, virtually all of them armed and resisting arrest. That's 0.4% of all shootings in Chicago this year.
And
the cops are not the problem, they're the solution.
And it's also important to note that of the numbers you're talking about with respect to Chicago, 80% of the victims of those shootings are black.
Of course, if there was the same carnage going on in white communities, there would be an uprising. You know, the media likes to think of itself as so racially progressive and sympathetic. They're only racially progressive when it comes to a black person being shot by a white officer. The same with the Black Lives Matter activists. I don't see the same national outcry when the 3-year-old boy was shot on Father's Day and is now paralyzed for life in Chicago, or the 4-year-old boy shot in the back a few weeks later, or the 3 children shot on 4th of July in Chicago. That gets almost no attention. Everybody in the world today knows the name of Michael Brown, the thug who tried to grab Darren Wilson's gun in Ferguson, Missouri, and gave the big push to the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't think the world knows the name of Tyshawn Lee, the 9-year-old who was lured into an alley and assassinated, and his father refused to cooperate with the police in trying to track down his killer.
And Heather, hi, Amy Jacobson here. The reason why people, I don't think, focus on the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old is because they're considered older now. I mean, we had a 6-month-old shot once where a bullet was found and it was shot through the baby's diaper. So it's like we become numb to the ages of the victims because they're as young as 6 months old.
Yeah, well, the police are the ones that are trying to save those lives, and the only way they can do that is through proactive policing. But what you see in Chicago right now is a crystalline example of what I've called the Ferguson effect, which is officers backing off of lawful, proactive policing, such as pedestrian stops, under the onslaught of lies directed against them by the Black Lives Matter movement and the media. Stops were down 90% in the first quarter of this year in Chicago, and you're having, a 50% increase in shootings and homicides on top of last year's 15% increase in homicides. And as you say, Dan and Amy, the victims are black, as are the perpetrators. And they're not the cops.
So now the other half of the discussion and the title of your book, The War on Cops, talking with Heather McDonald from the Manhattan Institute. The War on Cops, is that a real thing, or is that something that is being blown out of proportion as well? I mean, if you look just at the dry statistics, there are fewer police officers being killed in the line of duty during the Obama years than, during the Bush years, during the Clinton years, during the Reagan years. So is that a relevant? I mean, that's a relevant statistic, but kind of fill it in to give us the whole story.
Well, Dan, I urge you to talk to any police officer in Chicago today, and he will describe to you. It is not always a shooting war, although it has been. That's not the primary focus of my book. It's the rhetorical war, and it's the hatred that's being directed at officers in the street. I was in Chicago a month ago to see what was going on there, and a homicide detective told me he's never experienced such hatred in the streets in his 20 years on the job. He said the job is basically undoable now. Officers across the country and in Chicago find that when they get out of their squad car to make that proactive stop, to question a suspect hanging out on a drug corner at 1 a.m., hitching up his waistband as if he has a gun, they're frequently surrounded by hostile, jeering crowds, interfering with their lawful authority, sticking cell phones right in the officer's face. It's not a question of standing on a curb filming an incident. It's a question of actually getting into a crime scene and not obeying orders to back off. The incessant charge that officers are racist has a psychological effect. Policing is political. And if a large segment and a powerful segment of the political establishment and the media establishment keeps sending the message that cops are the biggest threat facing young black men today, we shouldn't be surprised that cops back off of proactive policing. So what cops are experiencing today is, I think, probably even more virulent than in the 1960s. In the 1960s, it was mostly fringe radicals that were going around with off-the-pigs rhetoric. But today, Black Lives Matter rhetoric, the killer cops, KKK, you have college presidents embracing that conceit, and it's very false. I invite you to attend any rally, on the Magnificent Mile or Lakeshore Drive. Listen to that rhetoric. That's what I'm calling the war on cops.
But unlike the 1960s, we have a social media platform, too, where you have people like Diamond Reynolds live streaming the aftermath of the police shooting of her fiance/boyfriend, whatever he is. And I think that helped fuel the fire, and that's why the 5 police officers in Dallas are dead. So do you think that people were upset when they saw that it led one man to kill?
It did. Well, I think it was that in addition to all that preceded it, because this is not the first time that officers have been assassinated under Black Lives Matter propaganda. In December 2014, 2 New York police officers were sitting in their squad car on patrol in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and they were assassinated in cold blood by a man from Brooklyn who was seeking vengeance in the name of Black Lives Matter. So words matter, ideas matter, and cops feel themselves in the crosshairs. And I can tell you, after these Dallas assassinations, and they've been followed up, as you know, with more violence against cops in St. Paul and elsewhere, officers are going to be even more wary. And the crime increase that we have seen last year in major cities across the country and is continuing this year is only going to get worse because officers are going to continue backing off.
Well, and honestly, that's exactly what Dean Angelo Sr., who is the president of the FOP Lodge 7 in Chicago, the main Chicago police union, that's precisely what he has said, what he predicted, and what has come to pass over the last several months in Chicago, in addition to, frankly, the last several years. But I also want to get to this piece that you wrote for City Journal, Manhattan Institute publication, Chicago on the Brink. And you recalled something that I had forgotten. State Representative Monique Davis, who is still a state representative, on addressing these very small percentage of homicide cases that are cleared in Chicago. Over the last handful of years, it's been like 25%. Dean Angelo told me that last year it was more like 12%. So, Black Lives Matter, but Black lives being squelched, no one is held accountable. So because you don't solve the case. And Monique Davis in 2013, as you recount in your piece, say, well, the reason is because because police officers are killing young black males, so that's why there's no trust there. And of course, that is just a preposterous statement on the merits. But this is what you have coming from an elected state representative representing a majority African American district and feeding the kind of the war of words that you're describing.
Yeah, it's just the most poisonous urban legend, but it's an indication of how far from reality the discourse about policing is in the black community. And, it's not to say that, for instance, I am completely appalled by the Laquan McDonald shooting, and I think the police department in Chicago handled it abysmally. I think McCarthy made a huge mistake to allow the false narrative to stay out there. I understand his reasoning, but I think he should have found a way to correct that narrative. That was a very, very bad shooting, and I understand the anger about it. But that is the aberration. Chicago officers, there's no other department, as you know, Dan and Amy, that confronts as many armed felons and takes as many guns off the street as Chicago. And I salute Dean Angelo. That speech he gave at the City Club was right on, and I hope that the city leaders take his words to heart. But the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of encounters that Chicago police officers have with armed felons go off without the officer using any type of lethal force. So this is just absolute lies and propaganda, and they are becoming more and more dangerous by the day. The no-snitch ethic, you can talk to a homicide detective in any city in the country. He said he will tell you he could solve every single homicide in the inner city if the witnesses cooperate. They don't. Some are frightened, and that's understandable. But for a lot of them, it's simply a ethic of hatred for the police and a refusal to cooperate with authorities.
She is Heather McDonald, scholar at the Manhattan Institute and the author of the book, The War on Cops. Heather, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan and Amy. I appreciate it.
And she joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine and some clouds today, but it'll be breezy, a lot less humid than we're used to, a high of 85 degrees. And then tomorrow, it'll really cool around here for this time of year. We'll have some clouds, some sun, and a high only in the mid-70s. Any mild travel times? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, Amy, first in Oak Brook, there was a crash which drew a 3-ambulance response in Oak Brook on York Road at 22nd. The inbound Edens has a mild travel time, just 21 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 33. The Kennedy is 48 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, heavier in the express. Outbound an hour and 7 minutes to O'Hare after a crash at Cumberland. The Eisenhower, an hour and 8 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 10. Stevenson, looking at a travel time of about an hour now from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it is 42 minutes. The Orion, 35 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Tri-State, southbound, still a bit heavy. Washington to 176. Northbound delays, 95th to 31st, and from the Reagan all the way to the Grand Avenue curve. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, I just had the best and most affordable home improvement, and it only took 2 hours to transform the very darkest room in my home. I know you've heard me talk about Solitube and how this amazing technology was better than traditional skylights and the associated problems that come with it. They're big, they're clunky, they tear up their roof, they leak, but not with the Solitube. So I spoke with Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, and she's Chicagoland's Solitube premier dealer. What a great experience. The natural lighting looks absolutely gorgeous, and my bathroom really does seem larger. It's so simple and inexpensive. Katie from Chicago Skylight Pros did a consultation. I quickly picked out the Solitube system I wanted, and now I have natural light that brightens my home without tearing my roof apart. So I highly recommend you brighten your home with natural light using Solitube daylighting systems. Call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, a Solitube premier dealer, at 844-789-SHINE. Mention me and receive $75 off your first Solitube. That's 844-789-SHINE, or visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com to view my video and see the before and after pics. You have to see it to believe it. Go to ChicagoSkylightPros.com. That's ChicagoSkylightPros.com.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing, independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Roy Spencer and I came up with an amazing offer. If you purchase a home within Permaseal service area and a member of Team Hochberg at Pearl Mortgage secures you a mortgage to purchase the home, we'll cover the cost of the sewer inspection when the loan closes. Roy and I want to make sure you're purchasing a home without faulty or cracked sewer lines, which is expensive to repair. According to Roy, we're the only lender offering this outstanding service. If you're purchasing a home and want to take advantage of this outstanding opportunity, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, we're going to get your reactions to the Heather McDonald interview. We got a lot of people lined up on that.
And later, what happened to David Cameron's footy tat? We'll explain. But here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We're watching developments in a serial killer case in Phoenix, Arizona this morning. A man that allegedly fits the description of a killer in Phoenix, Arizona, has been taken into custody. Police in L.A. say the suspect was apprehended after an overnight standoff that shut down the 91 freeway in Corona, California. Police engaged in an hours-long chase after someone said they spotted a person matching the composite sketch of the Phoenix serial killer. California Highway Patrol now working with Phoenix police in that investigation. But again, a man who allegedly fits the description of that serial killer in Phoenix is in custody this morning. Countdown is on. Donald Trump to announce his vice presidential pick tomorrow morning. Those on the short list include Pence, Gingrich, and Christie. And the Indiana governor says he's honored and humbled to be considered.
Our nominee will make, and I'm confident that he'll make a great decision.
Pence had breakfast with Trump and his family yesterday. There's an effort underway to have the feds open up a public corruption investigation into the Clinton Foundation, led by Representative Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. A weekly report on first-time filings for unemployment benefits is unchanged. Labor Department saying it received 254,000 initial claims last week. Cleanup is underway after severe thunderstorms hit parts of Chicagoland in the afternoon. In southern Illinois and St. Louis, nearly 185,000 were without power after storms had winds that exceeded 70 miles an hour. There was a candlelight vigil at Chicago's Federal Plaza, marking the one-year anniversary of the death of Sandra Bland. Governor Rauner making an effort to level the playing field for minority-owned companies in the state, signing an executive order initiating major reform designed to give certain businesses better opportunities to receive state contracts. And presumptive presidential nominees Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had better pay attention. Both remain deeply unpopular in Wisconsin. It's a new Marquette University Law School poll released showing that 63% of registered voters have an unfavorable view of Trump in Wisconsin, while Clinton's numbers are only slightly better, 59% with an unfavorable view. Fire were winners over Sporting KC in the MLS, 1-0. The news service of Aruba Tourism. Aruba is your shortcut to relaxation. Unwind with Aruba's cooling trade winds or bask in the crystal blue Caribbean. Hop a nonstop flight from O'Hare to One Happy Island. Plan your shortcut to happiness today at Aruba.com. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher urges the GOP elite to back Trump.
Their feelings are hurt. They're tired of being wrong, and now they think they can be right by destroying the Republican nominee for president. It's unthinkable. And again, now's the time for Republicans to act like Republicans and get the heck on board.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
You've heard it. Illinois has the highest taxes in the nation. If you own a home, your mortgage payment is going up. Taxes, homeowners insurance are all increasing. This is Barbara Walters, president of Ameritrust. Think about this.
If your mortgage rate is 3.25% or above,
let's lower your mortgage payment. Anne refinanced and saved $649 per month on her mortgage payment. Alice refinanced and she saved $530 per month. And another couple saved $475 per month. No matter what, your mortgage payment is going to increase. Make the call, find out what your savings can be.
Ameritrust Mortgage. Call 815-459-7303, 815-459-7303, or go to am560myhome.com. Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720, NMLS number 217229.
No one likes being stuck in traffic. It's the same gut-wrenching feeling you have when you're stuck with your company's health insurance plan. Like most employees, you worry about paying too much for health benefits and prescriptions. Unfortunately, you probably are. But the good news is you don't have to. I'm Jim Lorenz from Clear Insight, and I have helpful solutions to lower your costs and improve your employee benefit package. Don't change the prescription drug, change where you buy it. I will give you a tool that will provide the cost of your drugs at the pharmacies near you. You'll seek out a gas station just to save 10 cents a gallon. So why don't you do the same with your health insurance and prescription drug benefits that could save you hundreds? I apply the same concepts to your health benefits. With plan design and simple technology, we're able to grant the rewards that help keep that copay in your pocket. As someone who's been in the health industry for over 25 years, I know firsthand that one-size benefits do not fit all. Talk to your HR person or manager. Tell them to visit clearinsightbenefits.com. See how we can return benefits to your employee benefits package.
8:36 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. 53 has delays this morning. Southbound Rand to Kirchhoff, northbound Thorndale to Higgins. Edens is 21 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 35. Inbound Kennedy delays start at Central. It's now 58 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 43 from Montrose, 35 on the Express. Outbound an hour and 5 minutes to O'Hare after a crash at Cumberland. The Eisenhower, an hour and 2 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 10. With significant delays on the extension. I-55, there's a crash at 355 in the left lane. And delays resume at Harlem. 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow from the 83rd Street toll to 31st, and from the Reagan tollway to the Grand Avenue curve, eastbound Adams tollway heavy busing to Lee. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Less humid this afternoon. A beautiful high of 85 and a low of 65 overnight. Currently in Chicago, 74. Next news coming up at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're going to talk Trump VP with Ed Morrissey from hotair.com in just a minute, but I wanted to get some callers in who wanted to react to our interview with Heather McDonald about her book, The War on Cops, which is quite the topic of conversation right now. So let's do that by going to Chris in the South Loop. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Amy, how you doing?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to speak a little bit about Mrs. McDonald's segment. I have a family member that was shot in Chicago. She was on her way to school, church, and was innocent bystander, and it was because of random crime. So it kind of hits home for me. And when I hear Mrs. McDonald speak about the statistics, I have friends, many friends are cops that are in Chicago, and I ask them, hey, man, what do you guys do now? Since you can't do what you want to do in actual police, what do you do when you're on the streets?
And their response? Oh, we lost Chris. Oh, okay. Boy.
And if you do one thing wrong,
there we go.
You're going to get prosecuted, and no one's going to protect you. And so that just speaks to the volumes of what Mr. McDonald was talking about. And movements like the Black Lives Matter and all those other movements, they're just perpetuating a cycle for crime, and especially in the streets of Chicago.
All right. Thanks for the call, Chris. Appreciate that. Tom and Shanahan.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry. I have to say that the caller or the guest that you had, she showed her bias when you guys were talking to her. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by that. When talking about cops shooting black people, she said, we have to ignore what's being said and look at the statistics, and then she rattled off statistics. Okay, fine. Then Dan said, is the war on cops being blown out of proportion? Because if you look at the statistics, cops are being killed at a lower rate than at any time in the last 50 years. And her response was, well, ignore the statistics, go out and talk to the cops and see how they feel. Well, no, it doesn't work both ways. Go out and talk to the black people in the streets of Chicago and see how they feel. Obviously, they feel like they're being targeted by cops, not only from a shooting standpoint, but from being over-incarcerated, over-arrested, and just basically, they're being arrested at a higher rate than white people are. And she wants to use the statistics on that side, but when it comes to cop killings, she doesn't want to use statistics.
Well, to be fair to Heather McDonald, she said, when I say war on cops, the title of my book, I'm talking about more the rhetorical war, not just simply limited to actual violence directed towards police officers. And that is a fair distinction to make. And there's also a lot of data to her kind of Ferguson effect moniker about and she mentioned it, Chicago police stops down 90% year over year. The clearance rate on homicides cut in half, and it was only a quarter previously. So I see what you're saying. I think the statistics are relevant on both sides, but understand the argument that she's making. It's not just limited to violence against police officers. Thanks for the call, Tom. Tim in Old Town.
Hey, good morning, guys. First, just wanted to say thank you very much for getting Heather McDonald on. I wish a lot more people were familiar with her and City Journal. Quick comment. It's always important to keep the big picture in mind here, and it's unquestionable that the White House and Barack Obama have been egging on the Black Lives Matter campaign. And you need to keep in mind the big picture, which is that they want a national police force. So they're going to continue to make it look like that local and city police units can't enforce the law and that there needs to be a national police force. And then I'll just close with a question by saying, how valuable must the police pensions be for them to be willing to endure all of this, still give almost exclusively to Democrats, when it's Democrats that are egging on this war on cops?
Well, thanks for the call, Tim. Both good points. And I refer you to this Kevin Williamson piece from earlier this week about who runs the urban cities. So where African Americans are concentrated in terms of population, big urban centers like Chicago, New York, L.A., Detroit, Memphis, New Orleans. I mean, who's in charge of these cities? That's the case that Williamson makes. So the entities to which you have grievances, Black Lives Matter. Who's in charge? Who's in charge of all of? I mean, I think that the largest city in terms of population that's had a Republican mayor of note lately, San Diego. So, what about that? You have grievances against institutions run by people that you elect. Does that make sense? Ron on the South Side.
Hey, Dan, we're going to have a discussion that later because I don't see any Republicans coming into the urban cities to give us a choice. But, well, it's true, but we'll talk about that another time. But you know what, the guest you had on, the concept she came up with a fallacy. When she talked about the media not covering those stories of the children, 3 and 4 years getting shot, maybe she was busy writing her book. I know I read 4 or 5 newspapers a day, sometimes more, and it was covered. But lastly, for these police, these weak police who keep talking about they can't do their job. Okay, well, you know what? Go drive a truck. Go flip a burger. In all jobs, people are held under scrutiny now. So if they don't want it, you know what? There's never a shortage of people showing up to become police. So you know what? Go become a park attendant like the guy who got shot last night. I'm tired of hearing these weak, I can't do my job, it's more threatening. Okay, you know what? Go flip burgers. Okay, have a good day.
All right, thanks, Ron. All right, we're going to have to pick up this conversation more tomorrow and in coming shows to be certain.
It's not going away anytime soon.
No, it's not.
But what's happening tomorrow is a big deal, 10 a.m. Where are you going to be? Where are you going to watch the big announcement when Donald Trump says whose running mate's going to be, Dan?
I'll be having my post-show cigar by 10 a.m., and I'll look forward to him announcing Vice President his running mate for Vice President as Indiana Governor Mike Pence. Isn't that right? Ed Morrissey, senior editor at hotair.com, the author of the book Going Red, who joins us now. Ed, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for
for having me on. It's great to be on with you.
And so it's going to be Pence, right?
I think so. I mean, here's the problem with trying to figure this out with Donald Trump is that he is sort of a chaos candidate, and so you never really know what direction he's going to go in. If I'm looking at this traditionally, I think Mike Pence is probably his best option. But, Donald Trump is not necessarily a traditional candidate, so there's still a lot of suspense.
Oh, well, if he's chaos, then he would pick Maxwell Smart.
No. The smartest choice would be to pick Governor John Kasich from Ohio, don't you think?
Well, the smartest choice
That's not a choice?
Well, I don't think it's really a choice because Kasich has been reluctant to even back Donald Trump. I think it would be a little difficult for Kasich to explain when he's out on the road. And I don't think Kasich is necessarily a guy who can do that sort of flip-flop very well and come across good doing it.
Well, and somebody who can kind of explain almost anything and almost anything away, Newt Gingrich. And this is the attractiveness of Newt Gingrich, and where some pundits have suggested that Newt Gingrich is a better fit for Trump because, number one, he's got the institutional knowledge and he's facile with the language and he's quick on his feet and he's a good debater and he's got a great animus for the Clintons that he can pour into the campaign. And that's what Trump needs, somebody that will be able to rhetorically diffuse and rhetorically attack as the situation calls for.
True, but I think that normally when you're talking about the attack dog sort of model, you're talking about a presidential candidate who doesn't want to do that himself, and Donald Trump is not reluctant to do that himself. And so maybe, again, if you're looking at this rationally, you're not necessarily needing the attack dog type of vice presidential candidate that you'd normally be looking for. Also, Newt Gingrich has an awful lot of baggage that he comes in there with, and he's, I believe, if I remember correctly, he's older than Donald Trump. And so you've got two 70-plus-year-old guys on the ticket. I don't know what that wins you, other than maybe just the fact that Donald Trump really likes Newt Gingrich and he thinks that they can work well together.
Well, what are the positives, then, of Governor Mike Pence?
Mike Pence is from the Rust Belt, so it sort of strengthens that tie to the Rust Belt voters that they're trying to find. He's got governing experience, which Newt Gingrich does not. He also does have Capitol Hill experience. He was part of the Republican Revolution that Newt Gingrich led in 1994, and he's a conservative that is well respected on the right, and somebody who doesn't have the same type of baggage. And frankly, he's a little bit better probably when it comes to dialing down the rhetoric and trying to make more positive connections with voters.
And if the selection is Pence, does that also have the potential benefit of diffusing, minimizing, maybe kind of completely putting to the side any never Trump action at the convention next week?
I think somewhat. I think that Pence would probably make people feel a little bit more comfortable about the ticket, and so it might tend to dial that down just a little bit. Whereas, if Trump decided to pick Mike Flynn after Mike Flynn said on Fox News Sunday that he was a pro-choice guy, and then the next day flip-flopped, I think that might actually make things a little bit worse at the convention than they already are for Donald Trump. And so, I think it matters. And I think Pence would be a guy who could make people feel a little bit better about Trump being at the top of the ticket.
And then on the flip side, we've got Hillary. Their convention isn't so far away either. And so, there's Tim Kaine seems to be the safe choice. And then there's been a lot of names bandied about for the alternative to Tim Kaine, perhaps the more risky choice, if you want to characterize it that way. And former Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack's name has now been floated, in addition to the HUD secretary and the Castro brothers, and on and on and on. Where do you sense Hillary Clinton's selection stands?
My guess is that she's going to gravitate towards the safe side, because she really doesn't need to put a whole lot of risk into this choice. She is the one that the Democrats wanted, and the party's unifying behind her anyway at this point. Bernie Sanders is endorsing her, so she doesn't need Elizabeth Warren, which would be more of a risky dice throw anyway. So, I think Tim Kaine, I hadn't heard Tom Vilsack, but that makes some sense. Midwestern ties. Tim Kaine, former DNC chair, former governor, as well as Tom Vilsack, also now in the Senate. a guy who can get things done and who knows how to get things done, would probably be a very good partner to Hillary Clinton. Also, more moderate. Tim Kaine being more moderate, Tom Vilsack being a little bit more progressive. Tim Kaine might be able to make that argument to voters in the middle that they should feel safer with a Hillary Clinton ticket than with a Donald Trump ticket.
All right, he's Ed Morrissey, senior at hotair.com and author of the book Going Red. Ed, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, Dan, David goes, but Larry stays. We'll explain, but first, here's your forecast. Today, partly sunny skies, breezy, less humid, a high of 85 degrees. And tomorrow, really cool for this time of year, only 76 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Here's the travel times, Jim.
Amy Eden's inbound clear, outbound though 35 minutes. Montrose to Lake Cook to Kennedy. Delay starting at Central 58 minutes. O'Hare to downtown quicker in the express. Now the outbound side about an hour downtown to the airport. The Ike an hour and 8 minutes. Thorndale to downtown outbound an hour 2. Stevenson 50 minutes 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive outbound 38. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Veterans Memorial slow 63rd to the Reagan Tollway and North Avenue to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Gentlemen, Dan Proft. When it comes to your health, you know your numbers. You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol, but do you know your testosterone number? I know my number. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with the convenience of their on-site lab, you'll know your results within minutes. If you've noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy. It can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. Low T Center services are covered by most health insurance companies, and they have flexible hours for your convenience. So do yourself a favor and call 630-409-4305. Tell them Dan Proft sent you. That number, 630-409-4305, or go to lowtcenter.com.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio. I believe not only in protecting your retirement and making the growth going forward, but also having a tax-efficient retirement as well, because you want your retirement portfolios to generate an income stream that will last for your life, for your spouse's life, and if you have kids, that will pass on to the next generation as well. Tune in for Secure Retirement Radio with Raj Shah, Sunday mornings at 7 here on AM 560, The Answer.
Knowing the ins and outs when buying and selling a home, obtaining a mortgage, or real estate investing are at your fingertips. Tune in to Market Overdrive with Carla Mina for the information you need, as well as a little fun.
Okay, so you'll pick a city agent for your city property in a suburban...
I would.
Okay.
This is what I would do.
I disagree with you.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, let's have it.
It's all about analytics, and I keep saying this over and over on the show, right? It's about understanding the market.
That's Market Overdrive, Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. I prefer to describe Jim Comey as a career prosecutor rather than simply the current FBI director. It's his time as a Deputy United States Attorney General and as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York that makes his decision to be forever remembered as just another Clinton-incorporated cleaner that much more shameful. Such is the pull of the Beltway big government ruling class. Comey's informed deference to politics prompted him to create for Hillary Clinton's exclusive use a new ignorance of the law exemption to complying with federal law. Don't believe me? Try it the next time you're accused of even a technical violation of a truly unknowable diktat from any of the alphabet soup appendages of the administrative state. After such an attempt, you better call Saul. So the Diogenes search in D.C. continues, but so does the slave rebellion in the hinterlands. I am Spartacus.
AM 560. The Answer.
I am sorry.
Amy Jacobson's British Cat Stories.
Tally-ho. Awesome. That is so great. Well, did you hear, David Cameron moved out yesterday?
What happened to his pussy cat?
Well, I'm glad you asked about Larry. That's his name. And he's a 9-year-old tabby who is the government's official chief mouser, because TV crews apparently noticed all these mice running around Downing Street and said, you know what, you need a cat. So David Cameron and his young family, they went to an animal shelter and picked out Larry. And the kids love it. The girls love it. David Cameron loves Larry. But Larry, he's leaving behind. And he wanted to explain himself one last time in front of Parliament. It's not that he doesn't love Larry. but he's doing it for the greater good.
It gives me the opportunity to put a rumour to rest as well, even more serious than the Strictly Come Dancing one. And he'll appreciate this because El Gato, his cat, is particularly famous. And the rumour that somehow I don't love Larry, I do. And I have photographic evidence to prove it. Sadly, I can't take Larry with me. He belongs to the house and the staff love him very much, as do I.
He whipped out a picture of Larry sitting on his lap, and he was petting Larry on his lap, but he just left the putty tat behind.
I'm glad there was a happy ending to that story, and I'm also super impressed that our technical producer David Stripling was able to get Maggie Smith to voice that intro to the story.
I want him to play.
It's like a scene from Downton Abbey.
I want him to play it again.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
Hey, do you want to brighten up your home with natural lighting without the clunky, costly skylight that you know someday is going to leak? Then I recommend you get a Solatube. I heard about Solatube and how this amazing technology was better than those traditional skylights. So I spoke with Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, Chicagoland's Solatube premier dealer. What a great experience. The natural lighting looks beautiful, and we placed one in my bathroom, and it really does seem larger. I love it. The kids love it, and it's so simple and inexpensive. Katie from Chicago Skylight Pros comes over, consultation. I pick out the Solatube system I wanted, and now I have beautiful natural light that brightens up my entire home without tearing apart my roof. I highly recommend you brighten your home, office, whatever, school, with the natural light using Solatube daylighting systems. So call my friend Katie at Chicago Skylight Pros, a Solatube premier dealer, at 844-789-SHINE, S-H-I-N-E. Mention me and receive $75 off your first Solatube. That's 844-789-SHINE, or visit ChicagoSkylightPros.com to view the video and see the before and after pictures. ChicagoSkylightPros.com. British.
From a single truck to large fleet, your business success depends on minimizing downtime for body and fender collision work, floor replacement, roofs, side panels, or bumper and hood damage. For over 4 decades, Chicagoland companies depend on Robax Truck and Auto Inc. Robax experienced techs average over 15 years with the company, offering pickup and drop-off service along with customer service second to none. Robax sees your job through. They believe customer satisfaction isn't everything, it's the only thing. That's why startup to Fortune 500 companies have depended on Robax for over 20 years. Robax also excels in box repair, truck body repair, and servicing of Morgan, Supreme Bodies, and other companies. So for a single vehicle or large fleet, call Robax Truck and Auto. Passion and dedication are the Robax tradition. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call Samantha at Robax today. Dial 847-981-9408 for info or a quote on your truck repair work. That's Samantha at 847-981-9408.
Well, we've had an excellent morning here at AM 560 The Answer. Thanks for making us part of your morning. Thanks to David Stripling, the technical director, and Cesar Perez, the executive producer.
Shake and bake.
We're back here tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. But now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, severe storms hit parts of Chicagoland yesterday afternoon. ComEd says they're returning power to most by now. CPS budgets should keep pace with last year. We'll get the update from the principals' meetings. A Lake County jail inmate found dead in his cell, and lawmakers in Illinois are calling for the Auditor General